When my computer unlags, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, this hangout is live. Welcome
Yes.
back to another Podrace After Party with me and my co-host Flipp Doubt. I'm General Katarn.
And I am Flipped Out, and today we have a surprise guest, Stephanie Janicek, and our featured guest, John Talks.
What's up, guys?
Wait.
Yeah, what's up, boys? I'm here.
So
I'm your
this
host.
is a very exciting panel that I have today because I'm in a very good mood and I'm very happy to feature you guys here. So before we went live, I wanted to make a little remark about my lightsaber and why it tends to the whole Force Awakens going on. So basically, when you check the differences between the Empire Strikes Back version of Luke's lightsaber and the Force Awakens, basically it's as if someone took the lightsaber, restored it to A New Hope, kept the other half of Empire Strikes Back, and said, "Okay, yeah, this is how we found it." Does it make sense?
It's weird, but I see where you're coming from. I'm not sure that's what they intended, but then I don't think they knew what the hell they were doing. I mean,
So,
you
do you
know,
think that it was like a an error? They didn't pay attention. I
yeah.
think that it's that.
You think that they meant it?
I don't know. I think that do you know what? John Talks actually. I was watching one of his videos today, and he basically said something that is so true. When Disney bought the rights, they couldn't wait to license the merchandise, make a new movie. Basically, they wanted the cash grab. So when you're hasty like this, you think to yourself, okay, I just want the cash. Okay, Luke's lightsaber, yeah, bring it in. There's a few differences. Shut up! I'm not going to make the decision to bring this lightsaber back and stuff like. Yeah, but it was lost. How do you explain it? Make Maz Kanata say it's a story for another day, and
Yeah.
we'll figure something out. And then Ryan Johnson came along, and that went to hell.
And then it turns out it didn't matter anyway. Um,
And it's
you
split in
know,
half.
it. I think that the errors were they were in too much of a hurry, and I said that before. I mean, I
Yeah,
think when Michael Arndt got fired for saying I need 2 years to do a good script. He was trying to be careful, and
yes,
they're like, we need to strike while the iron's hot. you know and here I am, a very capitalistic person, but it's like, you can do that with some things, you can't do that with other things. And I think that's what they did. They were in too much of a hurry. I mean, even Iger admits that now. um, and I think that that is partly his fault, but I also think that Kennedy didn't help because she so wanted to quickly prove that she was the woman.
yeah,
But anyway, it's all, you can tell when they were in too much of a hurry. I mean, you've got no backstory about why anything happened, and you kind of got a backstory in A New Hope. It wasn't exactly the truth, but you did. You know,
yeah.
I mean, Luke was always Luke Skywalker, only his parentage was vastly different than what he thought it was.
Hmm.
Um, the princess was always the princess, but then her background was vastly different. Uh, the only person whose backstory was never really resolved was Han, and we got one with the EU, um, but but still, they didn't have a backstory, but we understood who they were. I mean, I'm still to this day not sure what the hell Ray is supposed to be. You know, I mean,
No
it's like,
one
come on.
does.
I don't even. Daisy doesn't really even know, and I think she knows now. I think she knows now,
Yeah.
but anyway. But yeah, they were in too much of a hurry, and then we were talking last night on the fan cast, and I honestly think when you look at both, if this all this stuff going on with Carrie Hart, where is she? I
Steph, I'm
honestly,
actually quite sorry to interrupt. I'm quite uneducated on the whole Carrie Hart situation going on. I mean, I do have an idea, but now that you're mentioning it, it's an opportunity, so I can also fully understand what's going on. So, do you want to like fill us in on the whole situation with her?
okay. Well, all right. The other day I was messing around on YouTube, and the guy that's doing the Backlash fan documentary about us,
Yeah.
uh, Mark John, his people discovered that she was not in, um, that she literally, there was that she had disappeared from the website. Um, and um, uh, I can't eat My mom-in-law is trying to shove a meatball in my face right now. Wait a second, I don't want to eat and talk. Anyway, I'll eat one in a second when I'm done yapping. Anyway, so she just disappeared. And when I went to look, I went everywhere. I went to Disney's website. I went to Lucasfilm. I got Mickey saying there's nothing here. That you're in the wrong place thing. And now it appears, because Data Racer and Ichibaka did their homework, is that when you look her up on Lucasfilm, you go right to the leadership page. And what's really weird is that I was getting a guy named Steven Fetter, who's actually on Twitter right now. That his link was hers. Okay. And that was really weird. So where did she go? Well, they think it was about between July and September of last year, that because nobody noticed it till now, that she either left of her own volition, was let go, and the rumors have come out, and I believe them, that she clashed a lot with JJ on the set of TFA, and basically he said, I don't want her around, and now she's gone. And he didn't want the story group involved at all. He did not, because he didn't like anything they wanted to do. So he never consulted them for TFA. And if you look at TLJ, it's a big middle finger to him, to Luke, to us.
To everyone.
Yeah. So, where'd she go? I don't know. Was she fired? Well, I have a theory. I think I know who's taking over Lucasfilm, and if it's who I think it is, then yeah, he said, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I'm not going to take over and do any of this until she's gone, because she was the linchpin. She was the linchpin for everything.
Scapegoat. Who do you think it is, Steph?
I'm going to say it right now, and a lot of people get really mad at me, but I think it's JJ. I think it's JJ. He's looking for a big deal for Bad Robot. I think if they're setting up Dave Filoni to actually kind of run creative, because I think that's what he's doing now. I think that he's probably going to be the one doing the day-to-day stuff. And
God, I hope so.
And JJ's going to be the one kind of overseeing everything. And, there are rumors out there that Lucas has been back and forth to England and wherever else they're filming, helping out. And I no matter what, I think it's going to bomb, because people are just pissed off,
Yeah.
and so yeah. This also makes Kennedy look less powerful, because Carrie Hart was her girl.
Yeah.
And so so I think that's probably going to be JJ. And a lot of people are like, he'd never take that. Who would want Lucasfilm right now? It's like, when episode 9 flops and Kennedy leaves, the perfect person to ride in on his white horse to rescue everything, wouldn't you want to be that person? Because I know I would.
You would, but at the same time, you probably, it's a lot of pressure. And are you involved in trying to fix a mess that can't be fixed? I think that's the only thing. But I do agree. It's like JJ is in somewhat of a good position. But also too a very difficult one, and will he pull this off? I mean, I guess that will be left to the majority of Star Wars fans.
Even if the movie's good and it's got everything in it, and they fixed all the problems, is anybody going to see it now? Everything Star Wars just said that both. Han and Lando and Luke, and they're all going to be in a scene together or something like that. I haven't watched the video, but I'm like,
I think the only way they could get people back in the seats, like if they put a trailer out with like Luke Skywalker in action, giving that idea that he's not just going to be a Force ghost, but he's going to be back in bodily form, I think that would be enough to get some of the fans back. Maybe not all, but quite a few.
So do you think that he's going to be naturally there, or do you think that they're going to go with the full on Force Ghost.
I'm still going with Force Ghost just because. Now I don't know. Craig, Reviews for You has been out of it for a while because he's dealing with that. He's dealing not only with health issues but business stuff going on, so he can't really come in and do videos. And he said something a long time ago about it's only going to be a Force Ghost, and everybody groaned at the same time. But the reason why we're not getting a trailer tomorrow is because JJ's rewriting everything again.
You think so?
This late? This late. He's again doing rewrites. I mean, they're not going to be done filming until February.
Shit.
I mean, I don't even know if they can even get the movie off the ground by next December. I mean,
and that's proof of their hate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So, I mean, maybe we'll be shocked, and halftime there'll be at least like a title reveal. But at this point, people are so frustrated. It's like, God, you guys, can't you get anything? Can't you get it together? Can't you?
Here's what they should do, in my opinion, if they want to get the fans back on board. Literally, just show one shot of Luke Skywalker, like just coming through. I don't know, like smoky darkness or haze or whatever, coming through with a lightsaber, and then cut, and it's just the title of the movie. And yeah, just cut it right there. It's like literally like a 15-second, just a small tease.
Yeah.
I think that would generate a lot of interest.
Yeah, a lot of people would be going, okay, now he's back, But there's a lot more problems than just killing off Luke. I mean, the plot holes and mystery boxes that JJ, and those were his fault because he was still in that I'm JJ Abrams and I can do this and people think I'm cute mode. How did Han lose the Falcon? Why did he and Rey bond like that? Why is Chewie so bonded to Rey? I mean, and why did Leia? Because JJ, made the excuse, I forgot to have her hug Chewbacca. No, you didn't. You made her go over to Rey right away and hug Rey because that was going to mean something with that the big ring with the 2 stones in it. That was when you look at that scene, that ring is set front and center in the scene. She's supposed to be somebody, and even Simon Pegg said he had intended to make Rey somebody special. And somebody that was connected to all this. And then Simon Pegg said, well, maybe, we need George Lucas back. Yeah, you do. So
yeah, they do.
Yeah, I mean, he just because so anyway, but yeah, I think Carrie Hart's gone. I did a search for Pablo Hidalgo just for the hell of it, and there's really nothing beyond Resistance, the first season in 2019, which is okay, fine, okay, cool.
Hey,
so, yeah.
Hey, Steph, did you notice how Dave Filoni backed away from Resistance right when it was about to come out a couple days before? And what were you guys thinking?
Yeah, he was like,
yeah, I remember that.
He said, I'm leaving that to other people. I think it's very interesting. I think there's massive infighting still going on, but with Carrie Hart gone, it sounds to me like a lot of stuff that we hated about what they were doing is not going to happen now. That's just my opinion because she really was front and center to, stealing all the fanfics. Yeah, that was her. I mean, her and Ryan both. And they were pissed off. They were pissed off at JJ. It was straight up
obvious.
Yeah, they were pissed off at JJ. So, so anyway, but to be honest, we just got to see what happens. They're very secretive over there. They're not going to tell us what's going on, even though I think when somebody like that leaves, they should announce it. And other things like, the fact that makingstarwars.net has been removed from the starwars.com website, that Amanda Ward had to shut down Rebel Girl podcast.
I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Happy. She got caught on the bullshit.
She was doing something, because that Twitter link that was along with that got suspended.
Well, she is one of the most hateful people that I've ever seen.
Yeah. And what's really weird, and this is just me being a conspiracy theorist, that happened after Iger left, made that weird thing about Captain Marvel, disappeared from Twitter. Okay? And with Ichibaka's conniving, looking around, hunting around, and finding stuff out about the wards, would it surprise you if they actually maybe hacked into his account and did something like that? Wouldn't surprise me at all. It really wouldn't.
Ray Park.
It's very possible, because they were hired to be trolls by Kathleen Kennedy. I am sure of it. And that, and that's exactly what they were doing and what they've been doing. So,
hey John, what did you think about Filoni backing away?
Well, I think it was very telling that he didn't want to be associated with it, and he didn't believe in it. I really think he didn't have a lot of faith and resistance. So for him to, just kind of notify, especially, it was very strategic for him to do it like right before it came out.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure everybody knew, like, right before it came out, hey, I'm not a part of this. And I think it was smart on his part, because if he did it too far in advance, people would have forgot. If he did it too late, people might not have noticed. So I think it was a smart move on his part, and I'm glad Clone Wars is coming back. So
that's what I actually wanted to talk to you about, John. This was one of the things that I wanted to discuss, and I'm really glad that this conversation is flowing naturally towards this topic. I was actually checking some Clone Wars clips, because I'm trying to make this like little compilation where I use some clone voices to voice some of the dialogue that I've got going on for a personal project of mine. And every time I watch a Clone Wars, I see how carefully it was crafted, and it's proof that you can tie in the original trilogy with anything if you just do it right. I mean, Greedo, he was played perfectly when they tried to so many things. I mean, how Order 66 came out, so many wonderful little telltale signs, little stories. Dave Filoni is an intellectual child of George Lucas, because he pays attention to the small details that George Lucas implements in his films. Lucas is a symbolist. He's very intellectual when it comes to literature, and his work shows that. And people weren't happy with that, because they were just looking for a cheap platform. That's what I believe. And they were looking for a cheap platform to hate on George Lucas and say, oh my God, he ruined my childhood in Georgia and this and that. Okay. And as you said, I don't know if you said this, no, actually Anomaly Inc. said this. He said that the creator of any IP can say, hey, do you know what? He can make anything he wants, and he can make his mistakes on it because it's his own mistake. Okay, he will have to be accountable for it. But when you give it to someone else and they say, yeah, I'm going to take care of it, just like Kathleen Kennedy said, and you fuck it up, excuse my French, but that is unacceptable. And when you try to push an agenda, George Lucas is more intellectual than Kathleen Kennedy and all of those hacks combined. And they will never be able to outsmart George Lucas in terms of policy, writing, literature, mythology, and generally his knowledge. So I think that George Lucas was kind of insulted, but didn't come forth about it, And Kathleen Kennedy thought that, okay, he's an old fool, so yeah, I'm trying to be progressive with this stuff. And it is such proof that it doesn't work. It doesn't work this way. It's a failure when you try to put policy in a political state.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you on that.
Yeah.
I think you were right. Like, and she was chomping at the bit once she got Lucasfilm to do what she wanted. And I think, even I think as Stephanie's brought up too, I think her hands were a little tied with The Force Awakens, because she had to fight with JJ, and Bob Iger was also involved with some of the decision making with that too. And so once her hands were free, then she had her complete. She could really go hard in the paint, as you could say, with her political ideologies in the Force in the Last Jedi. So
yeah. I think that's actually right. I mean, I from what I've heard now, she's wandering around the halls at Lucasfilm screaming about, I never made a bad decision. It's all their fault, all the men's fault, blah, blah, blah. Which is typical of women her age and political bent. And you can see her doing that. I have something to say, and it's going to freak you out. Last night I was on Fancast, and we were watching and we're talking about Ready Player One. And one of the guys, can't remember who it was, said, you need to watch it again and think about what's going on at Lucasfilm right now. And think about who the character that built the game is modeled after. Holiday is George Lucas. And when you start hearing the lines they're saying and what's going on and all the rest of the stuff and how this big corporation wants to take it and, win the game so they can take over the game, it's really fascinating. And I got to say, Ben Mendelsohn is, I think, the avatar for Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger. I really do in some ways, but I don't look at Iger as being as big a bad guy in his own way as Kennedy. I think Kennedy just, because I don't think Iger would have cared if it was SJW. I really, really don't.
Well, Iger, he is a SJW. Did you check what he had to say the other day with the 4% challenge?
Yeah, his recent tweet.
Yeah.
Like his true colors are coming out.
Well, he, I think he says stuff just to be on the safe side. But from what I've heard, like among the people in Hollywood who know him pretty well, he's not that way. I mean, he'll they always say stuff to keep the hounds at bay, and he's he might be a quote unquote progressive, and he might be a liberal, whatever they think that means. But he is not of that same stripe. He's really, really not. And he knows how to finagle all the words and everything, and how to approach them to get them off his back. If you know what I mean? It's just a PR thing, I think.
What did you see his tweet though? Like he said, instead of 4%, the 4% challenge of having 4% women directors, we're going to have 40%.
I did.
I mean,
I don't honestly think they can do that because there aren't that many female directors out there. I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, they can sit there and beat themselves up with looking for, I don't know, if you have 100 directors and 60% are men, you might get 20% women because women just don't do that job. It's like,
there's I think it's 1 out of 24. 1 out of 24 directors are women.
Yeah, and it's like, well, women should have more of an opportunity. There aren't that many women, so why are you guys? So basically, it's just, Iger, playing to the crowd. It's kind of like when JJ was complaining about misogynists, and I was like, he is just doing that to keep people off his back, and it's not like JJ's a conservative or anything like that, but they got to do what they got to do to keep.
He's like a middleman type of guy. He plays the corporate side and the fan side. Hey, I want to welcome the Rant here and Open-Minded Movie Man. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey guys. So anyway, if you watch, if you see Ready Player One again, see it because I'm in the middle of watching it right now. When I watch, I'm almost half over. It's almost half over now. When I turn it off, and even the way the guy that's playing Holiday talks, it's George Lucas. If they cut his hair and gave him a beard and mustache, I'd be like, "What the hell?" I'm not kidding you. And I think what it was is I think Spielberg did it deliberately because him and Lucas have been friends for a long time, and he knew what was going on. They all knew what was going on, and you just gotta see it. And and then one of the guys said, what if he suggested Ehrenreich just to hurt Kennedy more? That could have been a move on his part to force her to do that. And then, he flops like a fish on the deck. and everyone's like, really? That's okay.
I don't know. I think her and Spielberg are tight. I mean, they've had a long-standing working relationship.
Oh yeah, but she's had a long-standing working relationship with George Lucas. Who, I mean, she really owes both of them and John Milius actually a ton of gratitude. And
who are we talking about here?
Kathleen Kennedy.
KK.
Oh yeah. Kathleen Kennedy. Gotcha.
You guys. Oh man. So anyway, I'm gonna be running out here in a couple minutes just because I got to get ready for Bonnie. So
sure thing.
And meatball sandwiches. You're making me hungry, Steph.
We're making those tonight.
It's funny. I just got through eating.
Yeah, we're making those tonight. So we're gonna put them in the crock pot with pasta sauce and just let them do their thing. They're really good.
Tomato sauce, multi bene.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And so we'll have those tonight, and just have a very rich, decadent, very fat-filled dinner. And I don't really care because what the hell,
Hey.
Anyway, so, but you just watch the movie again. If you haven't seen it, watch it again, and then you're gonna be like, what are they trying to say? Because I'm going to say this, I don't think those people are as close as they used to be. I really don't. I don't see how they would be. I really, really don't. So anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go and have a good conversation. I'll be listening. Okay.
Thanks, Stephanie, for dropping by. We'll actually catch you some other time. I always love it when you come on our streams. You have some very interesting topics to talk about.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. All right.
Thank you, Steph.
Sure.
See you, Steph.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
Enjoy.
Oh yeah. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
All right, gentlemen. So I think that some proper introductions are in order. I want to start from Rand.
Oh yeah. Thank you. I am the Rant. I rant about random stuff. Trying to start out coming with some skits and animations at some point along the line. And I'm a fanboy of many things.
Awesome. So, Scott, would you like to talk about yourself? Your channel, what you do?
Yes.
And
of course.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm Scott, aka Open Minded Movie Man. I talk about movie reviews, Blu-ray updates, just random things, rants on some bullshit that's happening in real life sometimes if it's even worth talking about. I plan on maybe doing, music reviews of certain bands that I like growing up and maybe even book reviews just to throw that out there. And just FYI, sometimes I have an alter ego known as the Renegade Saint. If you've seen Rookie's bloopers, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
There's always a dark side of me, so. But anywho, I'm also a fan of many things like the Rand is too. It's just FYI stuff there. And just so you know, I might also be doing some stuff of the year of 1989, like films of that I thought are just fun, good entertainment, like anything from like The Fly 2 to Leviathan, Dead Bang, Roadhouse, Ghostbusters 2. Just to throw that out there. So be on the lookout for those upcoming reviews at some point, folks.
Yes, very cool, man. Hey, guys, because he was talking about movies, I did some research, and I was thinking how cool it might be to go over movies that we're expecting in 2020. Does it sound fun to you guys? Or?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm down.
Right.
Should I throw one out there, like the new Ghostbusters movie?
Yeah, I mean that's one on my list. So absolutely.
What do y'all think of the teaser? Do you think you hope it'll be better than the Femfucksters remake that we got?
Wait, there's a teaser out?
Yeah, there was a teaser. Like I believe it was IGN that premiered the trailer. It's like a very 52-second teaser, but it shows like the Ecto one and stuff. But so
I don't know how, but I guess I've been filtering out all the SJW trailers because I have not seen a Captain Marvel trailer yet. I have not seen.
I have, and I can give a shit about that movie.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like I've somehow been able to stay away from those. So please talk about the trailer. Please do.
Who, me?
Anybody, if you want, go ahead.
I haven't seen it either.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Oh no, sorry, no. I was just saying I haven't seen it either. So, yeah, definitely want to hear your take on it.
Okay, well, all I know is that the trailer opens like on a grassy field, and it's like on a farmhouse, and then we hear like the Elmer Bernstein's theme, like the opening theme, like in the very opening sequence, it has that music in there, and then we see that the Ecto one somehow lights up, and then it cuts to black, and it says the new Ghostbusters film in 2020 or something like that. So, like I said, it's a very short teaser from what I remembered, but I probably can't do the justice, so you should probably check it out.
I mean, it sounds like a good teaser though, like just a little glimpse.
Yeah. All I know is that supposedly I think the original cast is going to be involved. I know that Dan Aykroyd will be. The only question is Bill Murray going to want to fucking do it? Because anytime we think that we think he was going to do it, like for example, back in 2010, he actually came out on the Spike Awards and he was dressed in the Ghostbusters attire. I was like, man, are we gonna actually get a Ghostbusters sequel for once? And it's like, nope, that was just him teasing us, just paying like that.
Apparently, it's not. They're gonna. This is really cool. And what I was watching last night, the Ghostbusters 3 is in real time as a sequel or threequel, I guess. So basically, in the 80s, the way they went, from number 1 to number 2. Then it moves on to the third one, which happens in real time now. So it's as if their age, kind of mattered during the process. That's really neat.
Yeah. All I know is that apparently it focuses around teenagers, supposedly. So, but I heard it's going to be like 2 boys, 2 girls. So it's going to be like an even split right there. That's what my main concern is. But if you get like the actors from like Stranger Things, I think I could buy it because, I believe they threw in some Ghostbuster references in the season 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but
I'm not really sure if like when it comes to Ghostbusters, I just have to wonder like, did they miss the boat a lot earlier? Like, should they have done this? If they were going to do a third installment, I don't know because I feel like there's a lot of there is potential for it. I'm not going to rule it out, but I think if you don't get Bill Murray in it, that's going to be a big one for a lot of people to lose interest.
Yeah, unless if you decide you're going to kill him off in the first 10 minutes, because apparently that's what. If he was going to do the third one, from what I understood, he was only going to be in it for like maybe 10 minutes or so, or killed off in the opening scene or something.
They're going to pull off another Harrison Ford on this.
Develop the one. And the project ended up being dead or something like that. So, it was on I think it was on comingsoon.net.com back in the day, if I even remember that correctly.
Well, there are a whole bunch of other movies. I wish we knew more about Ghostbusters 3. I think it looks good just because they're saying that the 2016 Ghostbusters doesn't count at all, which is
I know that pissed Leslie. I'm glad it fucking did.
Yeah, so it must be like their kids or something, right? Or like
it's, like I said, it focuses on teenagers, from what I understand. So
yeah,
I think it's with the old Ghostbusters. I guess they may pass the torch somehow, or they have to help. I don't know. Like I said, we really don't know much. That Ivan Reitman's son, is directing it.
Huh. Maybe they stumble upon like their base. You know what I mean? Like they shut it down. They got too old, and somehow they stumble upon their base. And one of them is actually smart enough to put it together. I don't know.
Maybe. I guess the less we know, the better the better off we are.
Yeah. Because honestly, when I just said that, I was like, did I say that out loud? I did, didn't I?
So
but yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna just go to some other movies if that's okay, unless somebody has something more to talk about with Ghostbusters.
No, go for it, Flipp.
I'll take that. Thank you. So I've watched recently, John. Of course, I've watched your Batman video. We can move beyond that and catch it later because it's just on my list. But these are some of the ones we're expecting out, and if anybody thinks it's pretty cool, definitely say something. And yes to you, General Katarn. I saw that. Bad Boys for Life, January of 2020, with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. Anybody?
Hell yeah.
Sounds fun. I wonder why it took them so long to do it.
For real.
Yeah, there's another one where I'm like, yeah, they might have missed the boat, like 10 years ago. But who knows? I think it will be fun though. So those two guys, I mean, I think it'll be a blast. So we'll see.
Definitely.
Is a Beetlejuice out there?
What's that?
The Beetlejuice sequel still on the go? I know there was talk about that, but who knows? Maybe that died down.
Well, there's a lot of talk about unnecessary sequels to all of these very well-known established films from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And I think that if you're going to come back to an old IP or an old franchise, an old movie title after so many years, it has to be like a rather really good reboot, or I don't know what. But, I'm with John with this one. They might have missed the boat like for 10 years or stuff. I don't know. I just don't feel the fact, like the hype that someone would feel like, let's say, when they saw a new announcement for a Star Wars movie or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I do think sometimes you really have to strike when the iron's hot, or people tend to lose interest, if they have to wait too long. Like Avatar 2. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Avatar 2 does if it actually comes out.
Yeah, really.
I just say I've never watched Avatar. I've never watched that movie.
Oh my God, it's so good. That's on my list. It was going to be last.
It's visually stunning, I'll say that. Though I have to admit, it kind of borrows from Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
I wish Star Wars had the storytelling ability that Avatar has. And it runs along some lines there, but James Cameron, he very much like George Lucas, invented new techniques in video and in special effects and such to make that movie. I know it's taken him so long to do, but I just watched it last night because as I was doing research, man, I was like, oh my God! I said to my son, he's 18. I said, you want to watch Avatar? He was like, hell yeah! And so I rewatched it. Well, it's a 3-hour movie, so I watched a good portion of it. I got within 30 minutes, I think, before 2 or 3 in the morning there. But it's an amazing, amazing movie. Now, am I hearing this right? I don't know if you guys have heard this, but did Disney buy the rights to Avatar?
Jeez, I hope not.
Well, they're buying everything these days.
I have no idea.
They're buying everything these days.
Well, they've pushed the date back for this first sequel plenty of times, but now they're saying that Avatar is December of 2020, the second one. And actually, it's going to revolve around Jake Sully and, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher her name. Niriti? I can't remember.
Zoe, you mean Zoe Saldana's character, right?
Yes, exactly. Sute will come back, which is interesting. The guy who would be the king and mate with Joey Saldana's Zoe. But he'll return despite his death in the first one, and it's a story about Jake and his new family with Neytiri, yeah, and their son. So I thought that sounded pretty cool.
I guess that should be interesting. I'm just wondering, I guess they're still going to be in their avatar forms. I'm guessing they're not going to be in their human forms anymore. Is it going to be completely CGI'd or whatnot?
Well, if you remember, Jake Sully became one with the tree or whatever, and
I barely remember it. I've seen it, but I remember.
I know, man. And I watched the director's cut last night. There's some really cool scenes in it. You guys haven't watched it in a while. It's a real treat. It really is.
I forget how further extended is the director's cut. I'm trying to remember if it was like 30 minutes or more or something like that.
I think so. possibly 15 to 30 minutes. Because it was 3 hours, where normally it was like, I don't know, what, 2 hours and 30, 40 minutes, something like that. So.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I just had an interesting thought. What if James Cameron somehow acquired the rights to Star Wars? Would you trust him to make it?
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah, I just hope that he doesn't try to force any of the SJW, because I want to see the new Terminator sequel. I think it's due out this year, but I mean, I know it has Linda Hamilton, but I don't know about any of the other female casts. It just looks like it's the SJW because of Mackenzie Davis.
They don't have Edward Furlong on there at all.
He's kind of way out of there already because of his drug habit and stuff like that. He could have been a good actor if he really wanted to, but I think he chose to focus on pot and drugs rather than acting.
Well, guys, the thing is,
hey, pot's not a problem.
Well, not pot. He probably abused it too much is the thing.
I'm offended. I'm about to go full SJW right now. Okay? I'm about to go full SJW. Nah, it's all right. It's true, though. It's true. Just like Corey Feldman. Like, seriously. It's no different.
I thought Corey Feldman has pretty much moved on. I think it was Corey Haim that abused a lot of drugs, I think. That's why he's dead, unfortunately.
I thought they both did, though.
Well, maybe Feldman...
Both of their partying together?
Probably back in the late 80s, early 90s. Who knows? But... I think Feldman realized that and had to stop at some point, but
yeah, that's true.
Well, here's one that's a little bit of a throwback, John. What do you think about the Top Gun sequel? Do you have any news on that, sir?
Miss the boat. I don't know. Like, does anybody care now? Like, I don't know. Right? To me, it's just like
it should be an untouched timeless classic, you know?
Yeah, just leave it alone.
I still believe he can pull it off.
I don't think so.
Who's directing it?
Oh yeah,
it's the first time American director. No, I'm sorry,
really?
I'm thinking of another one. It is. Oh gosh, you know what? I have all the information except that. I have a lot.
If it was
too bad, Tony Scott. May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that for me. Like, I get it. There's some hype involved. You know, Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer are going to come back. But at this point, it's just like, I mean, Tom Cruise has held up pretty good throughout the years. Val Kilmer, on the other hand.
Yeah, it sucks. I watched that movie, The Snowman, and I thought his voice sounded terrible, but I didn't realize the extent of his cancer, and it was a very obvious dub, and it was horrible. Overall, that whole movie was horrible. I'd say it's even worse than The Last Jedi because I was so bored out of my mind of watching that movie. It was just badly paced. Most of the acting actually wasn't very good at all, in fact. So yeah, definitely it was. I think number 2 of my worst films of 2017. The first being Resident Evil, the final chapter.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen it, but it sounds pretty bad from what you're saying.
So guys, you know, there's a lot of things I've been thinking about. You know, we have been obsessing about The Last Jedi for over a year and a half, and there's a lot of negative things going on. Ghostbusters 2016, all of these feminist agendas going on and stuff. And although I have made a video series that, John, I think that you might find interesting, and you, Scott, I think Grant has seen it, and I know Flipp has seen it, basically breaking down The Last Jedi, not by saying that it sucks or another rant. It's easy to do, but I'm actually implementing basic literature that The Last Jedi is based off of, and I'm just tearing it down by simple literature rules. Like if the fathers of literature were alive today, they'd completely take a giant crap all over it because they'd be like, this is not consistent with what good writing should be. And so far, I've got some very positive feedback on that, and I think that you'd enjoy it because it's a different take. And despite all of this negativity that has been going on for the past year and a half, there are some pretty cool things to look up to. And for example, the Clone Wars Season 7 is something that I wanted to elaborate on today. And I thought that I have the necessary panel to get me, hyped into getting into this year and stuff. I want to shake off all of that Last Jedi negativity off of me. It's like radiation. It's like sinking in my cells and I'm getting sick,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tired of the negativity. Yeah. But I mean, what else can you expect, right? I mean, it's a slow news week because we're about to have all these new trailers with the Super Bowl.
Well, Flipp had this theory that we might get. Well, Flipp and I both agreed on the fact that a teaser from 9 might drop, and the reason why they're not telling us is because they maybe want to surprise us and hype us, through surprise. I think that they might be doing that. You never know.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility.
Because I don't know. I want to get on that action. I want to see it when it comes out, and I want to talk about it, obviously.
Hey, John, were you a James Bond fan?
Yes, I do like James Bond. I like the Connery era, and I've liked the recent era too with Daniel Craig. I don't think every movie's been great, but for the most part, it's been good.
What would you say is the worst James Bond? Sorry if I cut off somebody. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm trying to think. What was that one in space?
Moonraker. I was going to say, was it Moonraker?
Yeah, I think that one would have to be. I don't. That one was pretty out there. I haven't seen all of the James Bond. I guess I haven't seen like the ones with Roger Moore so much.
Check out.
He came up as a comedian.
Yeah. How about you guys? What's your worst James Bond?
That's a difficult one.
I don't necessarily. I haven't seen all of them, but I keep hearing Moonraker was pretty bad, but it doesn't really look that bad. But that's just me. But
for me, it would be one of the ones with Timothy Dalton. I can't remember. Dalton, yeah.
Timothy Dalton.
I wasn't a big fan.
Actually, I thought License to Kill was his best one. That was a much better one. I mean, I didn't mind the first one, but I thought the villain was kind of weak. But in the second one, it was a definite improvement.
Yeah,
I thought that one was the best one he did. For me personally.
What about from the Craig era? Which one's your guys' favorite?
My favorite would have to be
Skyfall.
I think it's Skyfall, if I remember it correctly. You see, the thing is that what I liked about Skyfall was they were trying to, show that, James Bond has, his time has passed and he's not doing as well. And Javier Bardem is one fantastic actor and one of the best villains that I've ever seen, on screen, because he basically came from the same place that James Bond came, and, the whole thing ties in nicely. And James Bond is not, just a character. He's an icon, and that he will never go away. But the fact that they showed us that, even he can get vulnerable and he has to overcome that despite so many movies prior is something that I really, really liked. I actually felt that vibe really, really nicely,
That's a great point.
I liked Casino Royale. I liked it because it was the first different movie with a new guy, and it got dirty and gritty. The punches looked, the fighting was real scrappy. It introduced Daniel Craig, not particularly a handsome Bond, if you ask me, but he looked sort of beaten and worn, like he'd been through war and fighting. And I kind of enjoyed Casino Royale for that reason. He was a new introduction, and it really changed it up a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, Skyfall was wonderful, but yeah, I think Daniel Craig's been a great addition. And in this particular one coming up, he wasn't going to do it, and they had to go back and forth for quite a while, but finally they got him to come on board. And he's actually, I'm trying to figure out where I left my note here on this. Anyway, they're using they're using an American director for the first time. And it is due out on Valentine's Day next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Guys, did you ever think about this? That now it actually got me thinking. They were saying for the next James Bond that they wanted to use an African-American actor. And, people, when they started backlashing, the SJW started oozing soy out of their orifices in every single entrance. And they were like, "Oh my God, why can't you accept a diverse character?" All that jazz. And I remembered something because something came on my Twitter feed, and there's one of these followers of mine that's a huge Ninja Turtles fan, and I remembered there was actually this fellow Greek guy of mine that did this review on Michael Bay's Ninja Turtles, and what basically happened was Eric. What's this guy again? Um, Shit, man, I keep on forgetting his surname. But basically, the villain, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Shredder
movie. Yeah, he was supposed to be Shredder. Okay, so everyone on the internet, and this was predating the whole SJW uprise. They were always there, but they were not. They didn't take a form yet. And today they have this ugly form that we know as SJWs, and basically they were all losing their shit when a white male, was supposed to play the Shredder, which I thought that was a good idea. It doesn't matter. The Shredder is an idea. And everyone was like, no, the Shredder is supposed to be Asian and he's not fucking white, So you see how the double standards work.
Well, if a guy had some martial arts skills or something, I can maybe buy him a Shredder, but I don't think William Fichtner was a very good choice to even play Shredder. So that's why I guess he ended up being his subordinate. So
wait, in the new Ninja Turtles movie?
Yeah, in the first one.
Oh yeah,
not the sequel.
I thought his character was funny.
he was funny, but the thing is that it wouldn't be a total disaster. I mean, and I'm only saying this, it's because he was being set up to be. I mean, I don't think in the trailers that we actually got to see some Shredder action. I don't remember the trailers, but I do remember that when this movie was about to be promoted and all that stuff, they were promoting a fake out where he was supposed to be villain,
Thug Life Jeremy brings up a good point about people wanting Idris Elba to be introduced as Bond. Opinion on that, John?
Well, before we get into that, I don't know if you guys have seen on Twitter, like in the entertainment section, but there's talks of, and I think this is just more like rumor. I don't think it's anything official, but the idea of like Daniel Kaluuya, the actor from Get Out, like him taking on the role as Batman, and so people are talking about that. So it's kind of that Michael B. Jordan situation, like the Michael B. Jordan Superman conversation.
I swear, people are trolling with this now. They're just trolling.
I think so. I mean, for me personally, I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's a great actor, but like when you have like long-standing characters that, they have a certain appearance and a certain background, take like if you did Black Panther and they, all of a sudden we're like, hey, let's Black Panther should be white, like that would make any sense in the world. I know it's not a completely equal argument, but I just feel with long-standing characters, there's no reason to change them. So, I mean, I would probably be more lenient towards the idea of a Idris Elba doing James Bond.
Right.
I could see him fitting the part. But I don't know. I like Daniel Craig personally, and if he can keep doing it,
Yeah, me too. I'd prefer him too.
Did you see his face with the new Ryan Johnson movie? Did you see how his face got corrupted? Did you actually see that picture?
No. Is there a trailer out for Knives Out?
I actually saw a picture of Daniel Craig trailer, but I saw a picture on set, and he looks so corrupted. He looks so sickly, man. I'm telling you, this man is not healthy for anyone to be around. He's like he's like radioactive waste. Okay.
He's hot garbage.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, this is the 25th Bond coming up, by the way. Talk about a franchise with some staying power, right?
Yeah, I guess it might have some staying power.
What is it they're doing right?
I mean, I think it's easy. They're just staying true to for the most part. I mean, they are making some minor changes here and there, but they're pretty much staying true to who Bond is. And the things that you would expect from a Bond film, they're always in these movies. You know, in terms of the gadgets, the women, the car chases, the adventure. You know, it's pretty much a simple template for a Bond movie. You know, exotic locations, but they're just staying true to who the character has been and what these movies have been about.
John, you forgot something. One key element: the women.
You mentioned the women.
I mean, if an SJW was actually
the objectification of women, that's always been, you know, that's been a Bond staple, and it's for them to change that.
How are they objectifying women? I mean, it's been happening since the dawn of time. Guy looks nice in a tuxedo. He's carrying a glass of whatever. She walks up. Oh, what's your name? Bond. James Bond. And then the cut scene, they're in bed. Is that really objectifying?
Well, no. I mean, well, it depends on who you're asking. I was saying it more just like tongue in cheek, you know, objectify, you know. But men are objectified just as much as women too. Exactly. It's just not addressed.
I know. Actually, to expand on this, John, there was this one video compilation with all of these famous Hollywood actresses just drooling over guys like Chris Hemsworth or Hugh Jackman and all of those other really good-looking men. And the comments under there were like, yeah, okay, now reverse the genders and see how people lose their shit. So it's okay when women, you know, drool over a good-looking guy with a good-looking body. And when we see a girl in a cute bikini and, you know, nice body and, you know, nice rack and, you know, the proper necessary things that make her, you know, objectifiable, everyone would lose their shit and they'd be like, oh my God, don't respect women and you shouldn't objectify her. This is rape and this is rape culture. Oh my God, victimized, poor girl and shit. It is such a double standard we're living in today.
Yeah, guys are judged by like how much money they have, what car they drive, what clothes they wear, how their hair looks, how everything looks. I mean, we're judged just as much. It's crazy.
No one ever. We are just judged, and I don't know if there's any girls looking at this right now, but it's true. I mean, you will always see a guy. He could see a girl. She could be broke. She could be anything, and if she's just good looking, he'd be like, yeah, I'll take my shot just because of her looks. Now, that's when everyone's bitching about women objectifying men. Men objectifying women. But what happens is when a woman goes, okay, yeah, you're a very cute guy and stuff, but, you know, I need someone to support me, a.k.a. You're broke, so even though you look good, I don't want to be with you because you can't provide for me. That's okay. That's acceptable, you know. And one thing that a very important person to me, like a mentor, once said that, you know, you will never hear anyone. You will always hear, for example, hey, don't hang out with Flipp. He lies a lot. Don't hang out with John, for example. He drinks. Don't hang out with Rand. He steals stuff. But you will never hear someone. But they will never say, you know, don't hang out with Scott because he's too rich. He's too loaded. His pockets are so full of cash and coins that every time he walks, he takes his time. You see, you'll never hear anyone say that. Don't hang out with that guy. He's loaded. So isn't that objectifying someone? Tokenism at its finest.
Well, in another aspect of what you're talking about, if I may, would it be okay if Idris Elba ends up being Bond, but then we get Christian Bale to be Shaft?
Well, there's a perfect example. Shaft is certainly a character you cannot make white. He is not a white character.
I mean, you could try. I mean,
it'll just wind up being funny.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be funny. I think it would be funny. I mean, personally, like, I'm African American, so I honestly don't care. Like, if they were to make a white Black Panther, go ahead. But my thing is, as long as it's in the comics, like, don't change characters unless it's in the comics or actually in the storyline. You know, like, if Shaft was just literally a name, like a title to be given, give it to Christian Bale, because I think he'd do an awesome off the wall Shaft.
Well, that's he was mentioned in the Samuel Jackson one, if anyone remembers that one.
Oh, I remember that. This dude at the end with the ice pick stabbing himself. That was crazy.
The thing is that for the whole race thing to work, I just thought of this now, and I don't know if I'm making sense, but sometimes a character, be it in a book or a play or a screenplay or on the big screen, sometimes there are characters that are just characters, and sometimes there are characters that are just icons. For example, you cannot change that. So if a character is an icon because of his race, yeah, okay, that works because it's part of his story, and or you can't imagine him as something else. Now, if a character is just a character that can work with anyone else because he's written to be that flexible because his race, sexuality, or gender doesn't have anything to do with who he or she is, then it's okay to be a female, male, or anything. And that's what I think that people are getting mixed. For example, female Doctor Who, hell no. Okay, and I wouldn't. I know it just doesn't work because that's when they try to force diversity. Now, if you have, let's say, I don't know, guys, can you think of something that a character that could work as a woman or a man or something? I don't know.
Or what about a transsexual being Wonder Woman?
Yeah, they're
how about an actually male Ripley in the Alien universe? I know it was originally going to be a male, but they changed it to a female.
Oh, dude, that would not work. That would not work. I don't care. I don't care. You can't change Ripley. No. You can't do that. No. I grew up watching those movies so much, like, oh my gosh. I love Ripley. She's awesome. My favorite.
Yeah, I wouldn't change her at all. The only thing I could think of, like, especially back in the 80s, the closest thing I can imagine is like Schwarzenegger in Predator, but even then it's like I still take Ripley over Schwarzenegger any day.
Yeah, man. I mean, the first Alien was it was amazing. Like that dinner scene. Oh, I can flash back to that at any moment. Like right now, I kind of picture it right now. You know what I mean?
Such a well-crafted scene. It's so well done. Like that was Ridley Scott in his prime, and I don't know. Like I just think he was that movie is just so darn good.
Yeah, like that is a perfect 4 years old this year.
That was a lot of back when they didn't have CGI and they
had some pretty crafty technicians. You had H.R. Giger, and man, the way he designed the alien and the landscape of the planet is unbelievable. And if I'm not mistaken, most of the cast members didn't know about that chestburster scene. Like they kind of hit it as a surprise, like especially from Veronica Cartwright, I think.
It scared the hell out of me. I was young, and gosh, when that came out, what year was that? Oh my gosh, 70s, right? 79. So I would have been 6 years old, and of course I didn't get to see it till I was 10. But I mean, back in the day, 10 was okay to watch a dark movie like that. We didn't have PG-13 quite yet.
No, it was PG. It was G, PG, and R.
Yeah. It might have been R, now that I think about it. But me and my buddies, we'd sneak and watch the rated R movies, of course. But they really crafted the instead of a special effect digitally created, they had these guys, like you're right. They had these guys with, all these types of putty and blood, fake blood. And to pull that off, it made a real impression. It really did. And it was a scary movie. I wish that they, I really wish they could make them scary again.
Yeah. The amount of tension in that movie, like it's just so well crafted, and you just don't see that kind of thing. I think in newer films, like maybe directors and filmmakers think that the audience doesn't have a long enough span of attention. Like they have to just, kind of show everything right away, or they're not as patient. But that film, just in terms of tension building, it is like. To me, it is like one of the examples of like how to build tension for an audience.
Yeah, like that's the characters too. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like in Jurassic Park, that chase scene with Jeff Goldblum in the Jeep. I mean, that scene was crazy. They don't know how to do stuff like that anymore at all.
Yeah, they're not scary anymore when it comes to Jurassic. I mean, Jurassic World was not scary. I did not get scared.
I hated the entire movie.
I was disappointed in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom as well because
I thought Fallen Kingdom was the first one. I mean, the first Jurassic World. I mean,
nah.
Chris Pratt had more to do, and Dallas Bryce Howard's character was a lot less annoying, and it didn't have those fucking two annoying. I'm sorry, excuse me, I didn't mean to say F word. I apologize. It didn't have those annoying teenagers in that sequel. So yeah, I was really annoyed with them.
Well,
and plus, honestly, Jurassic World ripped off Deep Blue Sea and probably man's best friend.
Oh wow, 2 awesome movies, bro.
Well, if they didn't do it successfully, right? I mean, yeah, they just
This is a really good film. I think that was probably Rennie Harlin's last good hit, because after that, it seemed like he really trailed off. And Harlin's a good director. He did Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. So yeah, he's capable of directing action. I also hear that that movie with Gina Davis, The Long Kiss Goodnight, that's a good movie from what I heard, but I haven't fully watched it. By the way, it has Samuel Jackson in it too, so.
I think that was Shane Black.
Oh God, Shane
Black.
No,
it's Rennie Harlin directed that film.
Ruined our night.
Yeah, I think Shane Black wrote. I think he wrote it, but I could be wrong.
Maybe he did write it. I'm not sure. I have to look that up again.
You guys, I have a question for you. James Bond versus what's Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible?
That's gonna be a
good one.
That's a good one. I'll go with Bond.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bond.
Now, is this an actual fight though, like a literal fight, or just in terms of film franchises?
I would have to say an actual fight.
Ooh,
gosh, I would pay to see this.
Jason,
yes, this would be actually like a good Alien versus Predator movie. I wish we would have gotten that. Even though I probably would.
Why'd you have to bring up AVP?
Well, I'll probably take those over Alien Covenant or David BS the movie.
Alien Covenant, like I was so disappointed by that. Yeah,
really,
that movie was terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you look up Rambo Ralph for Life, he rants on that film pretty good. It was at the time of 2017. He thought it was the worst film of the year until he saw The Last Jedi. So that's number 2.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, guys, think about it. If Ripley were to find out that the xenomorphs literally came from all because of a malfunctioning robot, what do you think she would do? Like the look on her face.
Well, by the 4th one, she is a robot. Well, no, she's a clone, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she's a clone.
Unless they bring Neil Blomkamp's Alien 3 into there, that would be nice, but it probably won't happen since Fox is stupid. And honestly, Ridley Scott kind of cock-blocked that from happening, to be honest. Hello?
We're out here.
So, quick question.
Darkness, my old friend.
Does anybody know who Bloodshot is?
Comic book character? From Valiant Comics?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
It is about to be a comic come to life movie. It is going to be by Sony, rated R for violence and sexuality, and it comes out Feb 21st next year. I've never heard of Bloodshot, but please forgive me because I'm a comic book guy, but I pretty much stick to Star Wars on that. So, and Squirrel Girl apparently. But yeah, has anyone heard of Bloodshot? Big fans? Anybody?
Nope.
No. The only comic books I read is like Spider-Man.
Oh, speaking of superheroes. Sorry, go ahead.
No. It's an obscure comic. I'm surprised they're doing. Most people haven't heard of it, but I was collecting comics back in the '90s, and I collected some of Valiant stuff. They also the N64 Turok Dinosaur Hunter game that was based on a comic by them. But Yeah, I'm surprised they're choosing to do a movie on this character because he's pretty obscure.
Yeah, right. I thought that was an odd choice.
Yeah. My quick guess is that it's not going to do well, so we'll see though.
You know what, John? I've heard a really odd thing before because sometimes they make movies and they're just so really just bad, and you're like, well, why did they make that? They knew it was going to tank, but yet they still put it out. Now I've heard that they like to have movies tank occasionally because they can use them as tax write-offs. What do you think about that?
What? I'm serious? They can write like if they lose money on them?
Yes.
I've never heard that, but that's very interesting. Huh.
Right. Go ahead, OMM. Scott?
What was the question about?
Oh, I thought you were going to interject about movie production companies using crappy movies to write off on their taxes, because I don't know, it's just something I've heard that if they put like $400 million into a movie and it completely tanks, it's a great write-off for
them. I'm not. What would be a good example of that, to be honest?
Speaking in terms of like, go ahead. Sorry, man.
You talking to me still?
Yeah. Speaking in terms of like Bloodshot and how it's probably going to tank.
Well, I'm not really sure. I mean, who's the actor that's in it? Who's playing the character?
Oh, it's just a bunch of people we've really barely heard of.
Yeah. They spent a lot of money on it, you're saying?
What's that?
Are you saying they spent a lot of money on that film or something?
No, I'm just saying that John made mention that it's probably going to, and I agree with him that it's probably going to tank. I don't think it's going to, because it's going to be nobody actors from about a comic book that no one's ever heard of. And what would be their reason behind making that? And I said, well, tax write-off possibly, but yeah, I thought you were saying something about that.
No, I was gonna say something else, but something involving another comic book film. I was wondering if anyone has interest in seeing the new Dark Phoenix movie, because I hear that the test screens weren't so great, and I'm wondering if they're just throwing this movie in the summer as a last-minute desperation act, because it was supposed to come out this February, and they moved it into the summer. And I've heard rumblings about the test screens before that; they were not so good, and they're still not so good. So I'm wondering if Fox knows that they don't exactly have a good hit, they could just write it off, and that's why Disney is taking over, and they'll reboot the whole X-Men universe. It was open.
Well, I heard that New Mutants, because New Mutants isn't going so well either, and that they might release that to a streaming service like Netflix or Amazon, to save face and not put it out there. So
I know that was originally. Yeah, I know it was going to be originally rated R, but they decided they were going to change it to a PG-13 rating, which is why they delayed the release date or something like that. That's what I remember reading at one point.
Well, I forgot where I heard this, but I heard that it's not like, they've just been pushing it back because they've had problems with it, and that I guess there is consideration, of them potentially putting it out on a streaming service instead of releasing it in theaters. But we'll see. I mean, I could be completely off, but it's never, I don't think it's ever a good sign when release dates are pushed back. I mean, it's not necessarily the end of the world, but with that could be a sign that a movie's just, in trouble.
Yeah. Or whenever a third act gets reshot, like what happened with The Predator, for example. So they tried to salvage it. Probably was no better than the other ending. Well, maybe it wasn't as bad, because I know originally the kid is the one that defeated the Predator originally in the other ending. So yeah, okay. I don't think that would have gone well, but I know. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I think there's a slight delay.
I believe they try to reshoot stuff to hopefully improve the overall content of the film, to make sure that it's at least satisfactory, not underwhelming, but sometimes that's not always the case.
Yeah, and I should have differentiated the difference between reshooting and then rescheduling a movie, because there's always reshots or reshooting in a film. Like that happens with any movie where they have to go back and reshoot something. Just that, whether it's coverage or, something's just not up to snuff. But when a movie is getting pushed back in its release date, I think sometimes that is, that's reason to be skeptical as the quality of, or, if a studio is really confident in a project or not. Like Wonder Woman got pushed back, but again, it can go either way. But I think with X-Men, Dark Phoenix, based on the trailers that we've seen, I have no interest in the movie.
Who knows? I guess who knows? It might make X-Men Apocalypse to be a masterpiece all of a sudden now. I didn't actually hate X-Men Apocalypse. I thought Oscar Isaac did fine, but I just thought he wasn't as physically intimidating. I mean, he had a couple of good scenes at most when he hijacked in Cerebro and all that good stuff, and when he expanded his size. Unfortunately, that was only in the mind, apparently. So, but in all honesty, when I watched it again, I feel like he's like an evil version of Cyborg from Star Trek V, and a combination of being voiced by Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Belloc.
Yeah, I could see that. I did think he was. I did think Apocalypse was really underwhelming in that movie, and overall, X-Men Apocalypse was a step down from Days of Future Past, which I would put in my top 10. I think of comic book movies of all time.
Yeah,
I thought
definitely. I can't decide if it's number 1 or number 2. I always liked X2 X-Men United. That was the best sequel before Days of Future Past.
That was pretty good too. Yeah.
Then The Last Stand kind of really took a bit of a step downward. I liked Wolverine, but I don't like how they made Rogue into an unlikable character, and they really did the service to Cyclops.
Yeah. No, I agree.
The Rogue cut of what was it? Days of Futures Past? Or
yes, I actually like that one. I actually have to admit it explained things a little better, and plus I think Rogue was a lot better, at least as a character, than she was in The Last Stand. I'll gladly take that Rogue any day of the week over the one in The Last Stand for sure.
Gosh, Last Stand was pretty darn bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
But there's an example too of, I think, where a movie not staying true to who the characters are, or it really throws fans off their. Just really throws fans off. Like early on with that movie, I was like, oh man, I was not liking it, and the more it went along, just the worse it got. But
what movie are you talking about?
Last Stand.
Oh, you still? Huh. Yeah, it had some promise, but I didn't think it was necessary to kill off Xavier, and there's something else about it. I mean, I think they should have made Juggernaut at least related to Xavier, but they made him like he was a complete unrelated character at all. He was just there for like funny purposes. And what else? But I liked Wolverine in it. That's probably the best thing about that film.
Yeah, I would say so. Hugh Jackman always brings it.
In all honesty, I think they try to cram too much into a very short running time. People say bad things about Spider-Man 3. Well, honestly, I think X3 or The Last Stand did a little worse because it was much shorter, and they try to throw like 2 overlapping plots into one film, and it just didn't work. Spider-Man 3 could have been a good film if they at least saved Venom for the 4th one.
Yeah.
That would have worked better. Because at least Spider-Man 3 had some good moments. What's up?
The dance scene, and if they were to cut that out as well.
I could have done without that, yeah.
I mean, but it did serve them somewhat purpose later on, because, Into the Spider-Verse, they make fun of that little scene, so.
Oh, they do? I haven't seen it. I need to get around to seeing that, so. I hear it's good.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, it wasn't, amazing, but it made me want to, watch more Spider-Man stuff and start reading the comics all over again.
It's funny you mentioned I actually bought The Amazing Spider-Man 2 I believe last week, and I got it pretty cheap, brand new for like $5. And that's That's like the Blu-ray 3D thing that I got. That includes the Blu-ray, the DVD, and everything. I got it very cheap. I'm just glad I was able to get it for that price.
Nice. That's awesome.
I can't turn down a price like that. So especially if it's like that cheap.
No.
My only problem is I missed the opportunity to get it 20% off because, like at the tail end of every 4 months, like this was January, and then they'll do it again in May. They do a 20% sell off, and I would have gotten it for like maybe $4, but I missed that week. Oh well, there's another time to get it, so another time to get 20% off. But if you have any big lots in your area, I would try to locate some cheap Blu-rays and go for
it. All right, so out of the 3 Spider-Men that we have to choose from for like live action, who's your favorite, you guys?
Everyone gets quiet with Spider-Man.
Well, I'll say that I really like Tom Holland as I think he's got the look down. I think he's a great actor. I wasn't thrilled about Homecoming. I thought it was decent, but I think maybe this was just nostalgia too. But I got a soft spot in my heart for Toby. So
I don't blame you, even though his acting was sort of a step down in 3, especially during that breakup scene.
That was rough. That was rough.
No, please. I know just the way he said it made me.
Gosh. Yeah, for me, Spider-Man 3 doesn't exist. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It exists. Yeah. It exists to make fun of.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they, like I said, if they would focus more on the black costume and on Sandman and maybe I don't know if Harry would have been the villain still, even though he loses his memory for a good part. They should have focused on that, and that would have been okay. Could have done without the dance scene. Could have done without the poor breakup scene or whatnot. So
the whole origin of the black suit or the alien coming to it was so retarded. You had Peter Parker and Mary Jane just laying down, and literally this alien comes out of nowhere, for no explanation, no reason. I'm like, Sam Raimi, because I think it was him and somebody else wrote the script, and I think that's where all the disaster that movie was originated from.
Yeah, and Topher Grace coming out of that 70s show being Venom, I had trouble with that.
Yeah, I was like, what? He's not even physically imposing.
Yeah.
For him to be playing Eddie Brock was so wrong.
Yeah.
What'd y'all think of the new Venom movie? Was that any better, or what was your thoughts?
Is this supposed to be part of the MCU or its own standalone movie?
I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to be part of the MCU. That's why I guess Sony produced it still. So
I think
it's part of.
Oh no, go ahead, John.
No, it's part of Sony's Spider-Verse.
I honestly feel like it was bad. It was good, but it was bad in a lot of different ways.
The tone was, I'll have to admit, the tone was kind of over the place. It'd be funny, and then you see it possess people, and it possesses a little girl. I'm like, was this a horror comedy or what? Because I have to admit, the tone was all over the place in that film. But I didn't mind, what's his face? Tom Hardy, he did okay.
He was there, I guess. He kind of held it together, don't you think, bro?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my favorite scene was when he just jumped out of the apartment building, and then Venom, shoots him up against a brick wall, and he's trying to move his arms, and he can't. That right there, that was the best acting throughout the entire movie for me. I was like, he's really showing he can't control his own body right now.
I don't think I could have seen anybody else in that role. It's because of Tom Hardy that I think the movie worked as it did. I'm not thinking that it was a outstanding, well-written piece of art, but as a dumb, action thriller sort of comic book movie.
Yeah, just entertainment, just dumb popcorn fun, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed taking my son. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. No, that's fine. For me, it was just fun and entertainment. I was kind of shocked at how bad some things were in it, but it was kind of like one of those guilty pleasure type movies where I still enjoyed it. You know, it was really bad in some ways, but it's fun, you know, and you can't say that about all movies. Like some movies are just bad and they're not any fun at all. So, yeah, it was a good time.
How about, hey John, how about when his girlfriend is the Venomess or whatever, and she rips that guy's head off with her mouth and then kisses Tom Hardy? Talk about death threat.
Yeah, at that point in the movie, I was like, hey, why not? You know, it's already like, you know, you might as well just, you know, throw everything out there at this point. So,
well, what if they put Venom together with the Tom Holland Spider-Man? How would you guys feel about that?
Ooh, that would be a challenge. A puny little Spider-Man and a huge Venom. Tom Hardy. Can't argue that would be an awesome matchup.
I think it'd be fun. It would be.
I don't think it'd be fun as long as it's executed properly. I think they can pull it off.
But they already didn't execute the Venom movie properly with the terrible mentions they did. I mean, if you're gonna mention, you know, Eddie's origins, don't just mention, oh yeah, you had to run out of New York. At least two names should have been mentioned, and that's Jonah Jameson and, you know, Spider-Man. Those are the two main reasons why that man's life got ruined. You know what I mean? And,
that's a good point.
We get his son. We get Jonah's son. I was all like, I know he's an astronaut, you know, but that was just crap for me. I was like, who cares about John? Not you, obviously, John. But Jameson's son, yes. I was like, who cares about him? I want to see, you know, hear about actual Jameson kicking him out of New York. You know what I mean? And they didn't do that. They really, that's why I feel like even as a standalone movie, it doesn't make sense because they felt the need to try to tie him into Spider-Man without tying him in. And you can't do that. It's either cut it off completely, like those mentions aren't there, and yeah, this alien came out of space out of nowhere, or mention Spider-Man, mention Peter Parker, mention, you know, J. Jonah Jameson. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why they would completely chop it up to try to make it make sense. But, I mean, I don't know. I can rant about this for a while.
No, I agree. Well, I agree with you 100%. I mean, the one thing that makes Eddie Brock in Venom is that they have a deep-seated hatred for Spider-Man. It's like it's a defining character aspect that you can't get away from. So, yeah, I think that would have made up for some of that. Like if it was at least mentioned in the movie. I think you make a great point.
Yeah, that's something that's always bugged me. You know, like that's why his name like really is Venom, because the hatred, like you said, he has turns into venom, like a poison, and it's just terrible that that's how they decided to do the character. I really wish that either they made it a completely solo film off from Spider-Man or made it connect, because then it makes me worry about like the rest of the movies, like Morbius. You know, they're gonna do the same thing for that.
Yeah. Well, and what motivation if Spider-Man, if they actually Marvel Studios is cool, you know, eventually I think Tom Holland, or they got to give Marvel's got to give Spider-Man back to Sony. So eventually, like if they do this thing, like what reason does Eddie Brock, you know, what does he have against Spider-Man? Like, does it really make sense, especially if they're making him a hero? You know.
If I may interject for just a second, one of the things about comic books I've noticed, you know, in my 45 years of life, is that they morph and they change. The stories go in completely different directions, random directions. Often, they'll have like Star Wars, just for example, has an Infinities, you know, where everything is backwards, where Leia's the Jedi and Darth Vader wears white, you know. So why is it when we watch movies based on comic books, they have to exactly marry the original origin story? Why is it we feel that it must do that? Anybody really?
Maybe to try to, you know, revamp the character. Like, you know, honestly, it's to get a bigger audience, just like Miles Morales. he was made literally just to get a bigger audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I watched Spider-Verse. I loved it. Absolutely, 100%. Never looked at the comic books. So for me, it was a completely amazing story. But, I mean, obviously, every movie has its faults if you really pick it apart to nothing. I guess what I'm saying, in that case, you could call me a normie going to the Spider-Verse movie. But with Venom, I just thought in the back of my brain, in my willing suspension of disbelief area, I thought, well, it's a little bit of a different story, but let's see where they go with it. And I really didn't take it much into it further than that, which is probably what a bunch of normies might do. But what specifically is it about? Like, we've seen the Batman origin story to freaking death. We've seen the Spider-Man origin story to death. We know.
Yeah.
There's Aunt May, and then Uncle, but Ben dies, and so great responsibility. I don't need to see that again, and I'm okay for making it a little different because honestly, I've seen it a lot. So, what is it that makes you guys, I guess, individually want to see that origin story again, and to see them go through the exact same processes, whatever, again?
Well, I think it is a good question. I think it goes back to fans' expectations in a sense, like who have been with the characters, they've been reading the comics for some time. So, they want to see. They don't want. I don't want a cookie cutter version done of from a straight adaptation from comic book to film. I don't want it, word for word or anything like that. But I think they just want to see some level of respect for the original source material. And, and that's the reason, it's like, that's the reason, one of the great things when I was reading comics, when Venom was on the scene was, that was just who the character was for me. And so that movie didn't necessarily have to have Spider-Man in it. But I agree. I agree with was it the rant that said that? Yeah. I agree. Like if it had some references in there, kind of alluding back to just a tip or a nod to the comics, it would have been nice because I do feel again like Spider-Man is such an integral part to Venom's origin story. So not to say that they couldn't have pulled off a good movie apart from that, but again, it's just, if you go back to the comics. And so most people, though, they don't give a rip about the comics. And I think, and it didn't ruin it for me, but I'm just saying, like, I think for us who know the source material, it's like when you read a book, and a movie goes to adaptation of that. The people who read the books are going to be most critical of the movie. Tends to be.
Yeah, so not just a nostalgia factor, but also a respect factor.
Yeah, for the source material. Yeah.
Okay, good answer. Really. Anybody else?
I couldn't have said it better, honestly.
Well, honestly, it was in my head. Like, it's been bugging me forever, and for whatever reason, you guys brought that out of me because I really was questioning that myself. But, John, that was actually a really good way to put that. Nostalgia factor is important to me, but if that's all you're giving me, it's not enough. I mean, look at The Last Jedi. But if you're paying respect to the characters, well, you really got me there, man. That was awesome. Yep. Did you watch Spider-Verse by chance?
I haven't seen it. No.
Gotcha. Did you, Rant? You seem like you've seen it.
Yeah, I have. I like it. I haven't read the comics for Miles, but as far as I remember, he was had the spider powers for over 6 months, not 2 days. And that really rips me to shreds inside. Who gets the courage in 2 days?
Yeah. Did you like the animation?
Oh yeah, I loved like when something would happen, they would have like the comic book words like kaboom and stuff up. It was actually like cinematically wise, like visuals, awesome.
Oh yeah.
Like even the spider that they had that bit Miles, even that thing was cool looking. I was just like, oh my gosh, could you imagine getting bit by that thing?
Did you see how he reacted? He was just like, "Oh, get away!" Smacked it like no big deal,
like it was a mosquito.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like you compare that to Tobey Maguire getting bit, right? And he's like legit throwing his hand and everything, acting dramatic. So it's funny, yeah, right? Like it's funny to think of that.
Yeah, it is. Would you suggest people go see that, man?
Yeah, I would, especially if you have kids. I mean, I've watched that movie probably about 6 times now.
Wow. I'll probably see it on Tuesday since it'll be cheaper that day.
Yeah. Definitely go on the cheaper days.
Yep.
Yeah, when it hits the dollar theater, I'm gonna go see it a couple more times.
Yeah.
John Wick 3?
John Wick 3. Yes, I want to see that.
Yep. I'm definitely going to be seeing it. It's probably going to be the most anticipated film, maybe Avengers Endgame. Those are really the only two. And possibly that one that trailer reaction I did for Hobbs and Shaw. That looks like it's going to be fun.
Good call.
Oh, come on. I don't want to see that movie, Hobbs and Shaw. I mean, I like Hobbs, but come on, man. He's not a part of...
It's just a fun little film. It looks entertaining. I mean, am I expecting Shakespeare? No.
Yeah, that's my thing. I mean, the story got so twisted. I would have to say as soon as they got to Tokyo. I mean, even in the second one. Yeah, Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
Yeah, I honestly felt even like when they brought Tyrese in, I was just like, what's the point of Tyrese being here? I was like, where's Dom? You know?
Yeah, I think it's because Vin Diesel was too busy during that time. That's why he couldn't be in the second one. And he did briefly appear in the third one, like at the very tail end, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he showed up because someone killed, what was his name?
Han, actually.
Yes. Yeah, he was a cool guy, always eating those like chips or something. He was always just standing there like, sup? Yeah, I'm here, but you don't see me. He was kind of like Drax in Infinity War. I have stayed so perfectly still. I have mastered the art of being like... That's what I imagine sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, and Guardian 3, I don't think it's going to be the same without James Gunn. I mean, I know that they're going to get the feel, but I don't know what you guys think. James Gunn leaving and the fate of Guardians 3.
Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not going to be the same.
James Gunn going to DC, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's supposed to be directing Suicide Squad 2.
Reboot, actually. That's what I heard. A reboot. A soft reboot.
Oh, now it's a reboot? Oh, snap.
Hope so.
Yeah. Definite hope so on the reboot there because, you know, they messed up, man. I mean, you want to know, I've been watching a lot recently, a lot of Batman animated movies, and I just got done watching part 1 and 2 of The Dark Knight Returns, and I gotta tell you, yeah, it was awesome. Like, it was absolutely
great in that role or something, or voices him well.
Huh?
I heard that. I believe Peter Weller is the voice of Batman or something. I heard he's quite good in that role.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure he's better than Ben Affleck. Well, it depends if you like Ben Affleck as Batman. I never really hated him. They didn't give him really much to work with. So
yeah, they didn't give him real Batman lines like that. They didn't give him many. But it's funny because these animated movies, like Resident Evil has their own animated movies, and I'm pretty sure a couple other franchises do, but these animated movies are a lot better than the actual movies we get in the theater.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's true. They should always copy. Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah, they should do that. They should get the writers for the animated movie, and honestly, maybe even the directors.
Well, that Dark Knight Returns movie, that animated series, it's very good. It's practically like a straight take, like literally taken from the comics. Like most of it is just a straight adaptation from Frank Miller's Dark Knight.
Yeah, and it was crazy. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but let me just tell you that it can't get any realer with Batman with this. I mean, He was awesome. He was awesome, and he was old.
Have you read the comics? Did you read the graphic novel?
No, I have not. I want to finish Spider-Man. I'm still really behind on Spider-Man, and then I'm gonna move on to Batman next.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's why it was so good. Like the writing in the comic is so good, and they pretty much just put it all into cartoon form. Like it was. I enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I loved Joker. He was awesome in the second part. I loved how he was.
I have a two-part question for John. Can anyone else be the Joker now that Heath Ledger did such an amazing job? And we'll just start there.
Man, I think it's. I want to say because it was. There's just something about when an actor dies, and especially with an iconic role like that like forever cements that performance. Like when I watched The Dark Knight for the first time, just knowing that like Heath Ledger, like this was his last performance.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something that added to that. And the fact that his performance was so amazing. Even if somebody theoretically came around and somehow managed to do it better, I still think that we will always hold Heath Ledger's performance in such high esteem. So Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, if there's anybody that can come close or potentially do a better job, it would be him. But I do think Heath Ledger's performance, what made it so great was Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan's writing. Like their writing was so good in that movie. So it all goes back to an actor can be great. Like they can be Tom Hardy. But if you give him a Venom script, he's just not – he can only do so much with it, So those are just my thoughts. It's going to have to take an incredible writer matched with an incredible actor to even come close to Heath Ledger.
Yes, yeah, I agree. It's almost impossible. And there is something about a person who dies and that being their last performance. The second part of my question is, as an origin story, and this actually goes out to everybody. I just was aiming it at John first, and the question is, as an origin story, should we see another Batman origin story? And if so, are you guys prepared to accept an origin story?
I'll throw this out there. I think we've had enough origin stories of Batman. I think they should just cut right to the chase.
Yeah, if they do, let's say with Matt Reeves's Batman, or The Batman as it's titled, they can allude to it, but to go through it all over again, I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, agreed. I think flashbacks would be like the best way to show, why he became Batman. Like maybe some flashbacks or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it really quick. Like, it's like not something that we need to dwell on. Like in Batman v Superman, there was really, well, I guess because Zack Snyder was setting up Martha, which was notoriously one of the worst things ever in movies. But there was real no need for us to go back there. So
yeah, I didn't want to go in that alley either. I feel like I got shot.
I hear you say Martha, and I think of the How It Should Have Ended version.
Yeah.
You ever watch those, John?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's been a while. I think I've seen that one. I forgot how it went. How's it go, Flipp?
Oh, my God. You're asking me for verbatim. I just remember they were both saying Martha a whole lot.
Yeah. I do remember that. Well, Christopher Nolan, he pulled off the death of Bruce Wayne's parents pretty good. I think it's going to be hard to outdo that. So, like, why even try at this point? If it's something brought up in conversation, fine. But to actually go back and redo it all, I don't think there's any point.
Yeah,
John, I have a question. Oh no, go ahead, Flipp.
Go ahead. I just said I agree. Go ahead, man.
Oh, right, sorry. So
hey guys, I'm actually gonna have to head out. I'm losing battery power. I hate to cut this short, but yeah.
Damn, all right. Awesome talking to you, man.
Yeah, man.
Good talking to you all as well. I guess I'll go ahead and plug my channel. I'm Open Minded Movie Man. I do movie reviews, Blu-ray updates, just random vlogs, and just whatever's on the top of my mind. So, give my channel a subscriber. I mean, not a subscriber, but subscribe to my channel. And I'm already around 70 something. I did have 84, but now I'm down to 75. But give my channel a chance, and I'll do my best to bring you the best content as possible. So yeah,
guys, do subscribe to Open Minded Movie Man. We are not as a community. The message is, and I think this goes for the fandom menace and also the second wave. Guys, remember, we are here to help each other. So I love to have John and people like Steph on, but also anyone who's a brand new YouTuber. So make sure you guys subscribe to each other and definitely, watch each other's back and subscribe. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Or otherwise, you're going to see Open-Minded Movie Man's alter ego. What was it again?
The Renegade Saint.
Ooh, you don't want to see him. I know he carries a katana, and that's not something you want. Okay? The cold steel is someone's katana blade.
T10 cold steel katana.
Nice.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Thank you for inviting me, Flipp, and thanks, Rand, John, and everyone out there that I don't know. It's been a pleasure.
Nice having you on, Scott. I hope to get in touch with you on Twitter as well.
Hey, what was your channel name? I'm sorry, the Clone Trooper. What's your name?
General Katarn.
General. Okay, of course. I don't know if I ever interacted with you on Twitter, but yeah, it'd be cool. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, man.
Sure thing, man. And we can also stream again sometime if you feel like it.
Whenever you're down for it, I am. I'll do my best.
I'll catch you later. Guys,
right, take care, y'all.
See you, Scott.
You too, man.
See you, man.
You, John. You too, Rant. You too, Flipp. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Yeah, Katarn recently changed his name from the Prodigal Legion 723 to General Katarn. So, guys out there, if you remember the Prodigal Legion, just go looking for him at TPL 723 on Twitter. Same guy.
Yeah. It's a whole different story. I'm actually going to explain the whole name thing. I'm just going to try and make a cool, heartfelt skit on it. And I also want to apologize for my rudeness, but I'm trying to multitask at the same time. I've also got, my sister's over, and I'm trying to, trying to multitask things. But I'm really, I'm listening to what you guys have to say, and, I feel that, hey, maybe I need to interject, but the conversation flows so naturally, and that's what I always say with Flipp. It flows so naturally that it isn't like excuse my word, like a clusterfuck of people on a panel and everyone's talking at the same time and, losing their shit. And I talked with John previously on the Founding Fathers, and, basically John, you're a very smooth guest to have on, and it's a real pleasure. And I really hope that, once we're done with this stream, eventually we can have you again, like some other week, like a regular guest if you feel like it, if you're up to it, if you're not too busy.
Well, yeah, maybe. Well, one thing is for sure, I definitely would like to have, and I want to talk to Open-Minded Movie Man. I'm starting a live stream called The Hour, and basically what The Hour is going to be, I think I'm going to do it once a week, and it's going to be, I might even do it twice a week, but it's going to be a one-on-one live stream, and for 1 hour. So I pretty much would like to have, anybody and everyone from this community on that live stream. So everybody's been wanting me to do live streams with them, so I don't know if I could do it regularly, but, I certainly wouldn't mind showing up from time to time on yours, General Katarn. So I certainly appreciate the invite.
Awesome, because sometimes some conversations they can flow naturally with a certain demographic and stuff, and that's why I always have Flipp and the Rant. Not that the other guys are not cool. What I learned, they're not cool.
Gee, thanks.
But the thing is that I have this thing happens with Sith. I get along very well with Sith, with Angus, with the Rookie Critic, to name a few, with Iron Wolf, with the Rant, and but Flipp, he's like my second in command. He's like my Anakin Skywalker to my Obi-Wan Kenobi duo. You know what I mean? Like, when you see one, you'll find the other on the same battle.
Thank God you didn't call me Robin.
That's why I said Anakin and Obi-Wan. They're both cool,
I love it.
Hey, Robin's kind of cool. I mean, it depends on which version we're talking about. I mean, Damian Wayne. Do you guys know Damian Wayne's version of Robin?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, dude, watch Son of Batman. I am not joking. Watch Son of Batman. You will love Damian Wayne after. You'll love Robin after that. I'm not even joking, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, it's all you, man.
Well, John, I forgot to ask you this question earlier. When it comes to the Joker, right? Why can't they just have Mark Hamill voice for the Joker in the movies, like they did for James Earl Jones and Darth Vader?
Well, I do think it's like a little bit. I think Mark Hamill's Joker is great. Like with James Earl Jones, I mean, you got the mask hiding the mouth movement. So I think it's kind of difficult to pull off, a performance or to like lip sync a performance, in my opinion. Not to say it can't be done, but I think that's the only reason why we don't see it. So,
something, Rant, and John and Katarn, I think, and this kind of goes back to the question I was asking John. What about Mark Hamill actually playing a live-action Joker? Would that work? Would that be a good contender for, at Heath Ledger's Joker?
I think he could play. I think he could play an older Joker.
Yeah, an aged Joker that's trying to, make his last joke.
And that takes me back to Batman Beyond, with Michael Keaton being the old Batman. You get somebody to come in as Terry McGinnis. You get Mark Hamill as the older.
Oh man, Return of the Joker.
Tell me
they did a movie.
Watch that. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Bro, I would watch it all day. I'd watch it all day long and night. Mark Hamill as the Joker. Oh man, like I love every last performance he's done as the Joker. I always say to myself, like, why don't they just bring him in? Like they can bring him in to be behind a microphone, but they can't bring him in to act out on stage. Like, come on, you guys. If you ask me, it's because maybe Mark Hamill can't be that dark, but we should at least give him a try. Because I would love to see him as the Joker as well, like face paint and all, dancing around, or maybe not dancing around. Who knows how he'd be as the Joker?
So, guys, speaking of Jokers, I want to take Heath Ledger out of this because he is perfection. Okay, because it's unfair. We're all going to say Heath Ledger, but out of the rest that we've seen so far, who do you think comes as a close second?
Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson, I'd have to say that too. Mark Hamill, you see the animated one. Yeah, he's okay, but I'm talking more live action.
Oh, yeah, Nicholson, for sure.
And I think there is a different dynamic between like animated and live action too, which is like, I don't know if Mark Hamill's, I think he's got the voice down. Like for animated, it is pure perfection. Mark Hamill's voice and everything. But for like a live action movie, I don't know how it necessarily translates.
As an old Joker, though? No?
It could work well, but there is just such a different, like things that work for animated, television shows or movies that, again, I just don't think they would necessarily translate as well. Like imagine him laughing.
Yeah.
In live action.
I can only imagine him in, in the animated. First of all, the facial features don't mix. If you see the animated with Kevin Conroy and all of those other characters. You see that he has this pointy nose and very, edgy characteristics on his face, and that doesn't fit Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was a more round kind of guy, maybe like 30 years ago, yeah, but not even then. He's got blue eyes. The Joker's got, I don't know, brown, black eyes. It's different. So I can't imagine him as a live action one. I mean, one that I really liked, yes, was Jack Nicholson, but this is my guilty pleasure, and I'm coming forward with this. I really liked Jared Leto. Now, before you guys stone me to death, allow me to explain. What I liked, if you seclude him specifically as a Joker, I really liked the modern touch. I mean, like if the Joker was a today's character, yes, he would have these tattoos like damaged and the golden teeth because like a gangster, kind of thing going on. And I liked it because he had that psychotic face and it comes very close to the depictions in the comics and the TV series, that very sharp smile of his and the green hair, of course, and a very white face. To me, it comes very close. I mean, the depiction is perfect, in my opinion.
You're talking about
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, yeah. I thought Jared Leto wasn't bad. We didn't get to see a whole lot of him though either.
Yeah. So he left more to be desired in the sense that he didn't have that much action. So that means it's kind of good, right? I mean, like some people would have been like, "Oh, thank God that he didn't have more screen time." And I've heard that, and I was like, "No, he was actually good. I prefer to see him than that crocodile scale dinosaur thing."
Yeah, I thought just with Heath Ledger's version, like what Nolan did, like there was more complexity. At least it was certainly hinted at, like in the dialogues between him and Batman and stuff. Like there was just more complexity to that character. I felt than just a staple. I'm evil, I'm bad, ha ha ha.
Honestly, I didn't like Jared Leto's Joker. Except for like his look, the best line he had was, what was it? When he walked in, he's all shush, 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 shush. All that chit chat's gonna get you hurt, and then he's just, "Oh, do you want to be my friend?" Like, to me, that was the most Joker he ever was. Because Joker, he would not go and save Harley Quinn like that unless she had information that he needed, and she didn't have anything Joker needed, just herself. You know what I mean? So. They really ruined Joker with that, and the fact that he was more willing to be in the front lines. Joker's always willing to let his guys die first instead of him. And you saw Joker walking into this building ahead of the crew, and Joker's usually behind, or like at least in the middle or something, surrounded, protected. And they had him on the back of the chopper shooting at, what was he shooting at again?
Yeah.
I can't remember. But for me, it was just... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it's just, for me, I have, I don't know. I guess I could say I have some standards for Joker because almost any crazy thing he does, if I don't find it funny, I don't feel like it's Joker. Like, I know that sounds weird, but that's how I am. Like, I could watch Gotham and see some stuff that he does there, and I'll laugh at it, because I could see where it's a sick joke. And with him, I didn't get the joke. Like, when he walked up to that scientist, he's like, "Oh, this looks neat," and then just automatically, plugged him with it. I was just like, that's not Joker at all. I didn't laugh. I don't see how that's funny to me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I didn't necessarily make it through Suicide Squad. I didn't see all of it. I was like, wow, this is this is just a crap show. So, but no, I couldn't agree more. I just felt, I feel like that again, staying true to the roots of the character, those fundamental aspects of the character. You're right. Like Joker is gonna always have his henchmen do the dirty work and go before him. He's just not gonna be that. So. And that's something again that does change, Rant. Like I agree with you. Like it changes the fundamental dynamic of the character. Like those quote unquote little things are, and that goes back to Luke Skywalker in Last Jedi too. It's like where fundamental changes to the character, it ruins the character, or it can ruin a character.
Yeah, like I would say, like, I don't know, like change their hair. You know, I mean, you could change their hair, their clothes, but do not change who they are at their roots. Like, as in, like even like mainly personality wise for me. Like, you could have the Joker be anyone. Like, it could be a woman. You know, I haven't seen Martha Wayne as the Joker like that, but I'm sure she would be no different than the male version of the Joker. So if they were to try to make her even like somewhat nice, like if they were to ever do a live action version, I would automatically be like, this is trash. You know what I mean? But she could look ditzy, like look like Martha Wayne Joker, like to a T, but it won't be the same. Just like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I mean, I hated her outfit, honestly. Like I absolutely hated her outfit. I was just like, and what's up with the baseball bat? Like, where's the mallet at? I love the fact that they showed the mallet, but she should have had the mallet.
Yeah.
How do you feel about her having the baseball bat?
Yeah, she came off like a stripper more than anything.
Yeah, she came off more like a stripper that was, you know, somewhat crazy, but not as crazy as she should have been.
So we are running into the beginning of hour 3. So I was wanting to ask if it's okay if we change from Batman for just a minute. I'd love to come back to it. And there is so much to talk about there, guys. But when we started this, we had Stephanie Janicek with us, and she had her opinion about the Super Bowl trailer. And I really didn't quite catch what you were thinking, John. In my opinion, before I ask you, I think that there actually there's a possibility, however remote. I believe that in the top 1% of possibilities, there is a remote possibility they could show some footage of some sort. And if so, are you guys prepared for it? And or am I just thinking like a crazy man?
No, I think it's possible. I mean, that would be, you know, I'd rather, if I was Lucasfilm, I wouldn't mind pulling this thing of saying, hey, we're not going to release a trailer, or at least put that out there. You float that out there to these, you know, garbage tier news sources, and then you put one out, you know, and you throw everyone for a loop. Like, to me, that would seem like a smart thing to do. So I won't be surprised if we see one, but I think it's just highly unlikely.
Yeah,
because I think you want to announce you're paying that much money, right? You're paying that much money for a Super Bowl ad. You want people to be watching it, you know.
Yeah. You specifically.
John, oh no, go please, Flipp. I've got this other question, and it can't wait. Please go ahead.
Okay, you said that in one of your recent videos, you said they just don't have the guts. Do you think it's going to be that bad that they? I mean, if they do wait till Star Wars Celebration, it must be pretty bad to them. They must be pretty worried.
Well, I think after Solo, they spent, I don't know, like a Super Bowl ad can run. I think that was a 45-second ad. They spent anywhere from like $5 billion to $15 million, you know, on that ad. So, you know, that's a huge, and not to mention they lost a ton of money on the movie itself. So, you know,
so they're playing it safe.
I think so. I mean, they're not in the business of losing money, and so if they could see it as a potential, you know, maybe after Solo, they're saying like, well, you know what, maybe a Super Bowl ad isn't necessarily, maybe it just isn't worth it money wise.
But this is a very bad image for them if you think about it.
I agree.
They'll be like, people will see like, oh my God, what happened to Disney? I mean, like they're expecting this, not that they're disappointed in the fact that they're not going to show it in the Super Bowl, but its absence says a lot of things. It'll be like, okay, what the hell happened to Disney? Did they get cold feet? What? But the only thing that we got up to now was that poster that actually made me feel a little sick, and I had a very good meal, and I almost, threw up a little bit, and I felt sad. What I saw was Rey's. I'm not going to say Rey's lightsaber, but Rey holding the Skywalker lightsaber with Kylo. And I said two things. Okay, shit. We're going to get Reylo in 9. And shit again, she's going to repair that lightsaber. And she's touching it again. And it's in her hand. And I'm like, okay, please, no. Please don't. So what do you think? What do you think of that? Do you think that the lightsaber is fixed? Do you think that we're going to be getting Reylo? God, I hope not.
Well, I did have an article that I covered sometime back saying that she's going to fix the lightsaber. So, I think it is coming back. I think JJ wants to bring it back. I think he did. He's going to try to undo some of what Ryan did. I think it is kind of a little personal for him. But
yeah, I actually have an inside source. I'm going to show you some quick footage, but Disney can't know. But I took the lightsaber and I fixed it myself. Here is here's the lightsaber. I actually stole it from Disney themselves. Here it is. I fixed it. I took it from Rey. She was sleeping. In
Nice.
case I didn't actually mention it, I build lightsabers. I take these empty kits and I install the electronics inside them. I've made 2 so far for myself and another 2 for some friends of mine. And I'm thinking of making this into like a side business project, because I really enjoy the process of making these things.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I want to make them as close to the movies as possible, not the plastic toy ones.
Yeah. How much do you think you would charge for one?
Well, that's something that I was talking to with Flipp the other day. Now, one of the things that this is like a disclaimer, and I'm going to make a video on it someday, possibly next week. But here is, what I wanted to put out there. Okay, lightsaber commissions. When you're discussing a lightsaber like the one I just showed you right now, which is like almost screen accurate. Or I can say screen accurate. There are a few differences that only like the very picky, nitpicky fans out there can actually discern. But to a regular fan, it's a very close, accurate screen prop. Now, these things are it's not a cheap hobby. It costs money because, like the kit has about, let's say, $200 to $250, depending on which company you're going with. And the electronics, depending on the soundboard, and all the LEDs and all that stuff that you're going to be needing, plus all of those tools, they can go up to like, let's say, easily 600 USD. And the reason why people charge like, let's say, an extra $100 or $200, I'm going to say 250 minimum for labor, people will be like, whoa, that's expensive. But when I built my lightsaber and when I built it for my friends as well, I understood why. Because basically you're paying someone to give you a very screen accurate prop. And it's something that a lot of people are very reluctant to do because they're like, okay, I don't know anything about how to install electronics, so I'll get someone to do it for me. And I believe that someone that makes this as accurate as possible deserves to be rewarded,
Yeah, so you're saying like about 600?
600 is the whole thing because when I'm saying like, okay, I'm going to buy the kit. Like, let's say you're a customer now and you say, hey, I want you to build me Luke's lightsaber from Empire Strikes Back. Okay, so I'll be like, okay, I'm going to get you the kit that I believe that I can make the easiest. I'm going to get you one that's affordable. So I'll start you off like, let's say $200 for the kit. And then the electronics inside will cost like, let's say another 200. And, you'll say, okay, I want a blade, which costs like about another like $30 or so. And I'll say, okay, that's like about $430. So to also put my labor in there, I'm going to make it like a price, like let's say $600, You're going to be like, why should I give you that $170 extra dollars? And I'll be like, okay, it's like labor. Now, I think it's a fair price because people, like I said, it's a very delicate procedure. And if you don't know 100% what you're doing, you can screw this whole thing up. This lightsaber, I almost messed up 3 times. 3 times I almost did 3 fatal mistakes and it wouldn't be working right now. But the thing is, I almost got a commission myself. But at the time, I thought that I was confident enough because I'm familiar with electronics to build my own stuff. And I did. It worked out quite well. And I understand where these people, when they get commissions, why it's expensive. It's an expensive hobby. It's like a collection, and any collector knows that collecting stuff that have importance and significance also carry a budget to them, a certain price. Otherwise, another guy once told me, okay, if you don't want me to make you the commission, just go and pick up a cheap one at Toys R Us and get the fuck out of my face, Sorry, but
right.
This one guy was very abrupt to me, and you know what? At first I said, "Oh, jackass," and then I realized that yeah, he is somewhat right because he has a lot of people lining up for him, and what he does, he's good at what he does. So he's like, okay, are we going to do business or not? I'm not going to be that abrupt, with people because I think it's a trust issue. And John, another thing that I wanted to say, I know that I'm monologuing right now, but it's a very delicate thing. In the lightsaber building community, there was this one guy who was like a big shot. I told Flipp the story, and basically what happened is that he took this insane amount of money from a lot of people that came to him. They trusted him with their money, and what he did, he went AWOL. He completely deleted Facebook, his YouTube account, everything. He disappeared. It vanished from the internet, and he basically stole a great amount of money from all these people. And now when people are talking, they're talking this, commissions, and they're like, okay, I don't trust you because I've never seen your work. And this guy who was supposed to be like one of the best actually hoaxed all of these people and stole their money. How should I know to trust you,
Yeah, that's a tough thing to work against. And I would say from a marketing aspect, what you have to do, it's like, again, it's difficult, but you would have to. And here's the thing too, like spending $500 or $600 over the internet, like I would say most people, the average person, in general, won't spend that money. But I'm not saying that it won't work either, because all you need is if you get a few customers that are willing to spend that type of money, that have a lot of money, you could still make it work. But again, it goes back to, I think, the way you market and trust. Yeah. And web design too. There's a certain, people trust like good web design when they see it, or depending on how you're advertising this thing.
Yeah, well, so far the only platform that I have to advertise this is my channel for now, at least. And I might set up a website, but that has to fly if I know that I have, like, let's say, kick off with like 2 or 3 potential customers at first. That will help me, with their reviews and their word out there, and spread the word and say, hey, you know what, this guy's pretty good. So if I get that, rolling, I will set up a website, and my main platform is my YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, that's how I met Flipp. He caught one of my videos, and he actually commented, and he thought that I did a good job. And then, I said, do you have Twitter? And then we started talking,
John.
Yeah, Flipp.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say to you, sir, that this kind of goes back to because I had actually tried to say this toward the end, but this is kind of a cool opportunity to talk about it. You had a couple of videos about being extraordinary and accomplishing goals. So I know a lot of it had to do with being a YouTuber, but it also applies to General Katarn's endeavor, in a way to set goals. And I thought I'd just reference that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if you haven't seen the videos, like pretty much the one about being extraordinary, the idea behind that is just, you just keep doing the ordinary over and over again, and that's how you get extraordinary at something. Like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, those are 2 of my favorite basketball players, but they got as good as they did because they focused on the fundamentals of basketball. And so that's how that video kind of came about. And that's been, more so like a recent philosophy of mine, or if there's anything I've gotten good at, it pretty much falls back to that. Like, you just keep doing something. Yeah, just practice over and over again. And when something works, you just, you keep doing it. If it don't work, then you, and you're sure it doesn't work, then you drop it. So,
Yeah, you're right. But actually, I can actually hear some SJW screaming in the background about Ray because she only read the book once, and she's a Jedi, so they don't subscribe to your theory, John, about applying yourself and practicing. You can read the book, you can read any book, and you can do everything that you want, just by reading a book.
That's
or
funny.
my first download.
Yeah, force download.
Just touch somebody who's good at something. There you go.
Yeah.
And
so, John, if you want to build your own lightsaber, all you have to do is just give me a handshake, my friend, and you can make any lightsaber possible.
So wait, you're turning. Right. So wait, we're turning from Ray to Rogue now, from X-Men.
Basically, yeah.
Well, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, I love her power. I don't care. Rogue, she's awesome.
Yeah, but Rogue's power has a catch. It's only temporary. It's not forever. Ray just touches people, and she's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm good at this, and I'm good at that. Fuck it."
Well, I have a Jedi Force power that nobody else has, but I have to keep away from people. It's forced pregnancy. If I just touch a woman,
yeah, by that standard,
just happens.
Ray, if Ray reads a book about pregnancy, the more she reads, the more her belly expands, and she's ready to give birth. And in 9 minutes, she's already 9 months pregnant. She's that good.
Well, she just touches the book, and she has a baby the next week.
Yeah,
that's it. Something like that will happen. Yeah.
But John, I completely agree with what you have to say when you apply yourself. I'm not a professional writer, but I always had this passion about writing, and whatever since I joined this community and I saw everyone's efforts, it kind of inspired me to also push my craft forward and try to think more intricately and read and actually broaden my knowledge and my technique and my skills. Now I'm no writer. Okay, I can write better than Rian Johnson. That's a given. He lowered the bar so low that I can even write better than him. But the thing is that when I started making this video series on why the literature behind The Last Jedi failed, the first one I made, I was kind of stuck up. I kind of had a carrot up my backside because I was kind of nervous, and I was like, okay, what if this doesn't pan out? And then I thought to myself, okay, just try and be more flexible and try something new in the second part, and the third part, and the fourth part. And everything started improving ever since. And I'm not saying this because, I wrote it, because, Flipp and Durant and everyone that you've basically talked to up to here have actually said that I've improved. And, when I look back at my videos and I see how much more comfortable I've become in my craft, I understand that I'm improving. And what you say applies to there too. If you want to be a writer, just write. If you want to be a basketball player, just shoot some hoops. If you want to be a hunter, just grab a rifle and start practicing and shit.
Yeah, and I mean it.
Wait a minute, Katarn. You can't just grab a rifle and start practicing.
Oh, come on, man! I mean, what about the guy that actually stole your current girlfriend? That's good practice. You start from big moving targets, and then you have to start somewhere. You need a motivation.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No. Well, I definitely I agree with it like that. The idea too, it's like if you can find somebody that's already been doing what you want to do, and that's another video for me to do, but it's like that helps you exponentially. If they can kind of give you the secrets or the tricks, it's like you can gain a few steps, but you're still going to have to put in the work, and that's kind of the idea of that.
Yeah. So is this also your advice for us, smaller channels to grow on YouTube?
Well, Katarn, in John's video, he goes on to say his personal goals, and I don't want to interject because this is really your conversation to have, John.
No, go, Flipp.
Where you made your personal goal last year to make one video a day. And by the way, I'm going to have a question here, but I'm going to skip that for a second. You said there's no, I might even be skipping the 2 videos because I watched both of your sort of psychologically profound tutorials. Gosh, I'm not really sure what to call it, like a go get 'em speech sort of a thing. I'm not sure what the words are. But you also went on to, there's no quick success formula. There's nothing sexy or glamorous about doing the ordinary work, but keep your goals in mind and accomplish the extraordinary. But as any human, it's almost impossible to stick to, say, if you want to quit smoking, well, okay, I'm gonna drop back to just one cigarette every hour, or one cigarette every 2 or 3 hours. You know, sometimes you just can't hold true to that. But the point of it, from what I'm getting, what your video is going to say, is that you keep trying. You may not be able to put out a video a day, but that you keep making that effort toward your goal, and ultimately you will achieve that status of your goal of extraordinary.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell, because I think I said in that video, I think I did my goal starting last year. I was like, I was going to do one video a day. And I think for January, I think I did about 22 videos. February, I only did 16. March, I might have came close, but as time went on, you know, you get better at what you do. You get a little quicker. You find shortcuts. You find what works, what doesn't work. And so I did get to a point where I was finally putting out approximately one video a day, sometimes more. So it's a process. And I think the one thing is you have to, you know, that's not feasible. That might not be feasible for everybody. You know, maybe even if you could do, you know, one video a week or 2 videos, like I think one of the things too is just being consistent. And also not beating yourself up. You know, I think a lot of people are really quick to get down on themselves and, you know, have this I don't know, or feel sorry for themselves or something like that. And I used to be much more like that, you know, but you just have to be like, oh well, and tomorrow's a new day, and we just start right over again. And I've had points with this channel where I went 4 days without putting out a video, or 5 days, and it doesn't really faze me. You know, I'm just like, well, I'm going to get to it when I can get to it. But again, I think consistency is the biggest thing, and just setting a realistic goal for yourself, and you know, just sticking to it. And you're not always going to hit the mark 100%. You're not always going to do it perfectly and do it every time. But the thing is just be persistent and keep at it. You know.
We have a guy in the chat, John, the Lone Wolf Cub. He's out of Germany. He asks, was it difficult for you to make other content other than Star Wars related content when you switched from John Talk Star Wars?
Well, thank you so much for the comment, Lone Wolf. I appreciate it. It wasn't difficult for me to make the content because I'm a person of many interests. I have, I enjoy many different things. Like I have interest in the arts. I have interest in movies, film, you know, different writing, etc. So it wasn't difficult in that aspect, but it was different. There was a slight hesitation in knowing that I wasn't going to be probably getting as many subscribers as fast as I would if I would have clung to Star Wars. Because when people see that Star Wars in your name, that, you know, and this is a thing about YouTube too. I'm going to say, like, if you're starting out, you're probably better off starting out in a niche. Like, start out with specializing or talking about one thing, and then later on, you know, you can get to a place where you can start to expand a little bit, where people are coming, not only for what you're talking about, but they're probably coming to you because they have formed a relationship with you and you formed a relationship with them. So, but I would say, yeah, that was the only difficulty of it, or the only hesitation, was knowing that it probably wasn't going to grow as fast. But I've been really happy with the growth since then, even though it's been maybe a little slower. It's still, the channel's growing. So
I have to admit, John, I had a relationship with you.
Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, Flipp. I mean, you know, I always see you in the comments, you know.
Yep,
and
I was definitely obsessed right there after TLJ.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I appreciate it. And I might not have been able to get to every single comment of yours. And that's a tricky thing too.
Yeah.
But I would say if you're starting out on YouTube, anyone who comments, like, respond to that comment. Like, don't just heart it. Like, respond to that comment. If especially when you're not getting as many comments, I would say that's a mandatory thing. Like, just in any way, shape, or form, just respond to everybody who comments and let them know that you're listening to them just as much as they're watching and listening to you.
I get that. It comes naturally, I mean, you feel like, oh my God, a comment. Someone actually sought me out and saw my content, and you're like, oh my God, that's exciting, and that's kind of cool. We kind of do that. We all do that, I believe, and I mean, the reason why I respond is because I'd like to get responded to as well when I am the one that comments.
Yeah, and that's it's a weird relationship, but there is still, even though you're not seeing somebody face to face, it is, it's nice to be heard. I think that's something that everybody, it's just a part of human nature, is that we all like to be acknowledged and listened to. So, it's, I mean, hopefully General Katarn, I don't know, I might not have been able to respond to every one of your comments either, but hopefully I have in times past too.
No, the thing is,
it's almost impossible.
I understand that. I mean, I even said this to Flipp the one day. I said, okay, what happens if you and I have, like, let's say 10K subs each? How would we be able to respond to that? And I understand that it is almost impossible to respond to everyone. So what you do is, okay, you go through as much comments as you can. But if you have like a video where you have like 1,000 comments, and they keep on coming, yeah, you can respond to as much as you possibly can. And there will be some comments that will be, random and generic. Some people will show their appreciation. Some will troll. Some will. Eventually, you will choose to narrow down and focus on some comments there. And I haven't had any problem with any big YouTuber not responding to my comment, and that's what makes it special when they do, because that means that, okay, my comment was worthy enough of their time to actually respond to it, and I completely understand that. I've also been a random commenter on some big channels and stuff, and I knew that I wasn't going to get any attention, and it makes sense. So no hard feelings there. I mean, the fact that you're actually on my live stream beats any comment that I would ever make, that you would ever respond to, because I get to make my comments here in real time and you get to respond to it. So I really appreciate that.
Well, that's awesome. Well,
sorry.
No, I appreciate you having me on your channel, General Katarn. I mean, yeah, I don't take it for granted, So, and if anybody invites me to a live stream, I'm not going to probably be able to take all of them, but I appreciate the fact that you invited me. So,
yeah, that's what makes it special, And I try to make myself as interesting as possible, because inviting someone on a live stream isn't, okay, yeah, I have John talk, so everybody, the publicities and all that stuff, and I have John talks, you have to get on my channel now because I've got a big channel. It's not. I have John talks. I have a guest. You're John talks. Yes. And at this moment, it doesn't matter what subs I have, what subs you have. You're my guest, and we're interacting. And the fact that you took your time out of your schedule to interact with us says it all. And that's what actually makes me feel good about it. And I really also have to thank Flipp for doing all the networking, because I try to do my best right now, but I'm in a position where I'm kind of limited because of, family stuff and work and all that. And, my family's been incredibly supportive of, my time, because I could have been busy. I could have said, I can't stream my time. I'm going to have to call it off. I have very limited time. But still, if I didn't have Flipp's support on this, and I'm going to say this every time, I don't know where I would have been. And he doesn't owe me anything. You don't owe me anything to be on the stream, John. By the way, I'll just... yeah, John doesn't owe me anything. This panel doesn't owe me anything. And the fact that, you guys make the time... time is valuable for me. And, we have 24 hours a day. And, the fact that you're sitting right now, like 2 hours in plus means a lot. So, Flipp, I think that you had something to say. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, not at all, man. And thank you so much for that. I was just trying to include a couple questions here. And by the way, Rant or Yucatan want to handle the Lone Wolf Cub one. Everything Star Wars wanted me to say, hey, John, how's the move going and why did you move? Love your channel, much respect. Would you do a question for creators video? And I'll get the last. Yes, he does have an email, but it's up to him to say. So, yeah. Hey, John, how's the move going and why'd you move? Love your channel, much respect. Would you do a questions for creators video? Do you have email?
Basically, to elaborate, everything Star Wars is doing this like mini video series where he asks a few questions to YouTube content creators about, why they like Star Wars, what got them into Star Wars, and, why they are on YouTube, what is their goal, what is their channel about. And I think that would be interesting to see that take from your part.
Okay. Well, thanks, Everything Star Wars, for the question. So the reason I moved was my grandma recently passed away. She passed away in December. It was something that was kind of expected for some time, and she was 94 years old. So she had a really she lived a good long life. And
sorry for your loss, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So what wound up happening was the family was still. Eventually, they're going to want to sell her house, but for the time being, they just want somebody here and taking care of things. And so they asked me if I would, be willing to move from my apartment to, just basically keep up with the house and just stay here till they were ready to, when they had the time to get things fixed up and eventually sell it. So, and it could be longer than a year. So that's essentially why I moved. It wasn't necessarily, I probably wouldn't have moved from my apartment because I had gotten very settled there. And it wasn't a big place, but it was like it was just, you get accustomed to certain places and you enjoy them, you like them. And so I really like my apartment, but I just figured it was probably time to move on, and I wanted to help out my family with this, and I feel like it was a win-win for both of us. So
hence the goodbye video.
Yeah, that's the very clickbaity goodbye. I did not expect it to get as many views as it did. I didn't feel. I mean, there is like an unwritten. I don't know. I'm kind of like torn on what is clickbait and what is not, because it's funny about I appreciate the fact when somebody gets me to click their video and then they kind of turn the table on me a little bit. But I think that's the difference between somebody saying something in their video and then it has absolutely nothing to do with that. So,
well, I know something clickbaity. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you could say
goodbye. Go for it.
You could say goodbye, and then next to it, Star Wars Episode 9, Luke Skywalker brings down Star Destroyer with the Force. That would be clickbait.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think too, it's like the video wasn't even a minute long, so I don't think anybody's gonna feel like I wasted a ton of their time. But it was kind of more just for subscribers. I didn't even tag the video, and just kind of give a little insight or a little peek into like my personal life, I guess, because I rarely show that. So yeah,
it's just enough, it's perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool for me because I've watched it for so long. I was like, oh my God, what's over there? What's behind him? What's to the right? In my brain, I saw something completely different. So it was really like, oh, that's cool. It's also the last time I get to see it. So I was like, damn. Sorry, Rant.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
It's okay.
I know, right? Sorry. Blah, 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 blah. Go ahead, Rant.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, refresh my memory here real quick.
Well, I was trying to get you to read Lone Wolf's question because that was you to ask the question.
What? I thought he only asked one.
Oh, about the questions. Question for creators.
Oh, no,
was that
I
it?
think he had another one. He said, "John, how was this crazy coincidence that RC reviews became at the same time a thing like your channel?" He thinks it's unique. Yeah.
Oh, so John, how do you feel about that?
SC reviews.
SC review. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny. I always thought, and I think SC reviews had been around a little longer than me. At least like doing reviews and covering things. But yeah, it's funny. I always seen him show up, like especially when I first started. Even now, still now, because we cover a lot of the same things. He would always show up in my feed, or his videos would play after mine. But I like SC. I mean, I've responded to him on Twitter a couple times, or just but I've never like really reached out to him to do anything. But I would like to have him on a live stream because I've always enjoyed his content, and I think it's cool. I mean, he's probably further along in subscribers, even though he hasn't shown it. But he does that YouTube grind. He's putting out like I'd say around three videos a day. So I got a lot of respect for the guy, and I generally like his content, and I think he can be pretty funny.
I have to admit, I watched both of you for the longest time. The only thing that's changed my watchability factor, so to speak, of you and SC, Janacek, Jeremy, you name them, Ethan, it's because I became a YouTuber, and I was inspired by, you in no small part, to be honest, John. One of my favorite things about watching John talk Star Wars, and then John talks. And by the way, I voted against the Star Wars being taken out, but
okay.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. But yeah, one of the things is that you came across just as a real down to earth person. You had real genuine questions, and I look for really genuine questions, and I think you've probably figured that out by me at this point. But yeah, but you guys were always. I don't even know what his sub count is. I have a general idea what yours is, but the point is that I see where Wolf was coming from. You guys both being very similar and whatnot, as far as just looking at the screen and telling people what your thoughts are, and reviewing things and being really honest. In my opinion, that is one of the most realistic ways to attach to people, is to talk to them directly into the screen. If you can be eye to eye, even though there's a screen between you, I think it's a real treat. But I mean, I'm not going to start into where I can do that. I'm getting close. But I think that's where it was coming from.
Okay, yeah, and that is a tough thing. It's not normal to like look at an object and to talk to it, right? That's not
right.
Like and even like when I was doing just starting out, it took some time to get used to, and that's why a lot of my videos, especially early on, like some of them were edited, mostly because I'd get off of work and I'd just be tired and I'd make mistakes, and I want to give people I had that idea, like I don't want to waste people's time. Like if I don't want to repeat things. I want to be fairly sharp. It wasn't really a matter of like, I wasn't trying to make myself look smarter, but I was trying to give whoever my viewership was, value. I didn't want to waste their time. So, which in turn like took more of my time. So, I think as I went along, I probably edited a little bit less. And now I'm at the point where some of my videos, I don't even bother to edit. Because, I might outline them before, and I'm just willing to live with, little mistakes and the and the little fillers and everything. But it's not natural to talk to a camera, and it takes time. But I would say Flipp, I agree with you 100%. Just be yourself, be real, and come with some presence, be animated, give people a reason to watch. but at the end of the day, be yourself, and I think that's what I do think people are attracted to that. And I think you said this before, Flipp, too, was if you enjoy what you're doing, if you really like what you're doing, or I suppose if you're passionate about what you're doing, that is something that people will connect with.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's at least what I connect with too, I mean.
Yeah, no, that's why I connected with your channel. I know I used a joke a lot, about stalking. Of course, that's a total joke. I swear. Love the new furniture, by the way. But but yeah, no, it's a connection. It really is. And thanks. It was good to hear that, man. It really is. You are one of my heroes. I believe Lone Wolf was saying, John Talks, very cool you are here. I catched you back then on your first stream and you answered my question. That was very cool. Yeah.
Don't forget the smiley face.
Oh, my bad.
Smiley laughing face.
Thanks. Yeah, well, if I do live streams and I'm able to, if there's time, I will read. I enjoy reading the comments and stuff, and I try to keep up on. It's a tricky balance with those live streams too.
Yeah.
Of it's you don't want the entire live stream to be just completely responding to comments, but I really do try to keep up with them though as well. I'm still, in my opinion, I suck. Like I suck with live streams. I'm still learning. Especially when it comes to like hosting a live stream where I have like 3 or 4 or 5 people on. Like right. To me, Sith Kryptonian, when I came on his live stream, I was like, all right, he was very good, like moderating. The past couple times I've been on his channel, especially that first time, and I was like, this guy, he's got it down. He's a very good moderator, and it's not. I've learned it's not easy, So
it's true.
Yeah, everything's learning.
Glad to have Sith and the Founding Fathers. Really, really glad to have him. So you went on to say about building the channel. And I'm sorry, Katarn, if I went way off topic here, I do apologize.
No, it's okay, man.
Go ahead. Okay. About building the channel, one a day is growth. But I had a question, and this is this is a little tricky one, I guess. A lot of people like Mahler. You know who Mahler is, right, John?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And man, honestly, I dove right into that guy's. Oh my God, his videos, and I sat there listening, just fuming, and then feeling relaxed, and then feeling mad again. But he doesn't put them out every day. He doesn't put them out every week. He puts them out whenever the hell he wants to, really. And yet he's successful. But that's really not and I would probably agree. Well, if that is what you would say, but I'm not sure what you would say, but I would think that it's not necessarily what everyone can do. I think it's probably a very special, particular group of people that can do that. My good friend Katarn here, he's very good at doing that. But, in your view of success, one a day, it hasn't been Mahler's recipe. And I was just wondering if...
Oh, no. No, and that's the thing too. Like, I think, well, I would think with Mahler, I'm gonna go a couple different ways with this question, but I could tell like Mahler's he's a fairly educated guy. I think in my estimation or my guess, he's very well-rounded, educated guy. So I mean, there's certain qualities that he's bringing to the table with his videos that he's already acquired. Things he's learned about storytelling, about film, those sort of things. So, but I would say, if I'm just going to make this answer really basic, is like everybody's different, and I'm sure maybe Mueller, he might be potentially, he's doing maybe one video a month, and I feel like his videos are like a delicacy, whereas mine are like fast food every day or something, But like
me too.
His are like, they're meaty, they're really good. But he might be working a little bit on those videos each and every day. So when you finally get the content, it feels like, oh, wow, it's just one long video. But he might be, working on them on a very regular basis. And that might be something, I don't know. I'm not sure how he works on his, on his videos. But with that said, I would say for anybody and everybody, like doing YouTube or doing anything, like play to your strengths. Like what somebody might be really good at, you might not be good at. What, somebody might suck at, you might actually be good at. So it's like there are certain things, we're all built very differently. And if you try to play somebody else's game, you're probably, and it's just not you, you'll probably like lose or not do as good. But if you do, if you play to your strengths and you do what you're good at, I think those certainly increase, your chances of doing well. So,
gosh, I would agree, but in more than one way, because you're agreeing with yourself. Because I took further notes, and you actually say, aim for your own weakness and control it. Aim for your own weakness and make it a goal. Wow. John, man, you're right on, because you
the
agree
Fandom
with
Collective's official motivation speaker.
What?
The Fandom Collective's official motivation speaker.
Honestly, sir, you inspire me tenfold. You really do. That's really cool, man.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt. I gotta go help my wife. I think one of the kids just got hurt.
Oh no.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you guys for having me on. It was nice talking to you, John, but I gotta go.
We'll always
Later, guys.
Later.
All right, we'll see you. Take care.
See you, brother. So, I guess to segue a little bit, I had some additional stuff, but it seems like an appropriate area to go in, I guess. We are all very, in comparison, we do not have the subs you have, but it's not always about subs, especially within the message that we're trying to convey. And I do speak for my brothers here, because I know that I'm saying what they wish to convey. It's basically, it's really, truly about being yourself and enjoying it. And that's what basically you're saying, right?
Yeah, no, I think it has it has a lot to do with that. And there's also, when it comes to YouTube, there's also technical aspects to it as well. Almost marketing aspects. Like how do you title a video? How do you do your tags? What kind of thumbnail do you use? Like these things too really they do play in to, I think whether or not you're successful on YouTube or not. Like for instance, somebody could have a great video. They could have an absolutely amazing video. But if their thumbnail or their title isn't catchy enough, then it might just go unnoticed. It could just, somehow be passed up. Like I do have this belief that like quality will, rise to the top and it will get noticed. But sometimes on YouTube, that's not necessarily always the case or guaranteed either. So it's I've seen some great content that didn't necessarily get the views I thought it deserved. And sometimes it has, it might be as simple as the title, the thumbnail, or the tags you're using, So there is that technical aspect too, where you learn to do the on-camera stuff, but then you have to learn too, after you turn off the camera, okay, these technical things, how do I do them? And so I didn't research everything thoroughly, but when I started doing YouTube, this was stuff that I was kind of like learning on a fairly regular basis, or trying to, I would from time to time look at videos on YouTube about YouTube, like how to tag your videos, or thumbnails, etc. So there is that other angle too of it. where I think a lot of people sometimes, you know, they focus on one aspect, but you kind of have to be knowledgeable in some of these other aspects as well if you want to grow.
Absolutely. Yes. I too far often I look back at videos of yours or Jeremy or Ethan or anyone out there, and I say, oh, I remember when that article happened, and then I run across something like a coffee pot strangling my buddy John, and I'm like, oh wow, I enjoy this so much, you know, and I think, well, I really don't care that this actor or actress said this or that, and I really don't care that Captain Marvel is going to be some SJW fest or that everyone thinks this about Indiana Jones writer. All of a sudden, I'm enthralled in like, what's this guy going to do? What the hell? He has no CGI. Like, what's going to happen? And it really grabs me. I'm just one individual, of course, but I see the heart in it, you know. And I see the fun more than anything. I see that you enjoyed yourself making that, and it was something you didn't like go, oh my god, what do I do next? It was more like,
picture yourself.
Yeah, you were being yourself, and you just thought that would be fun, that would be great, you know. And I hate it in a respect that, gosh, I could probably do those all day, but would I still be a Star Wars channel? Would I still be a, you know, a news channel, so to speak, a pop culture channel? Gosh, I literally have kind of done that in my last few videos, but it's been a slow couple news weeks here, so whatever. But I'd like to report on the NERD thing, but I felt like, oh, you know, it kind of got done to death before I could blink, or this or that. And I know I kind of suspect what you're going to say, and I should still probably do that. Katarn should still do it. Rand, everything Star Wars, whomever. But like myself and Entertainment Hacker, Black Angus Reviews, everything Star Wars. Did I say him twice? Oh my God, I'm not sure. Lone Wolf Cub. We all realize what we should report on, but what we want to do is also important. Is that sort of the gist?
Yeah, I think there's like a war sometimes, you know. I mean, that's what's the thing for me with like, but between changing the name, you know, going from Star Wars to taking it out of my YouTube name, you know.
Yeah.
It was that war of like, well, I love Star Wars. I really like Star Wars. Like, but I feel like there's, you know, I'm not just like, that's not the only thing I love. That's not the only thing I like. And it's just on a regular basis, a lot of the news was kind of depressing or just in my mind, some of it very uninteresting. You know, yeah. I knew some of it is just, it's all rumor and hearsay. And my goal wasn't to become like a Mike Zero Star Wars channel. Like I would probably bash my head against the wall, you know, if I just had to, if I felt like I had to keep doing stuff I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So that's the tricky thing. And then, you know, you do stuff that you want to do and maybe it's not quite as well received, but it's all about your goals. Like, you know, what do you want to get out of this? Are you doing this for fun? Are you doing it for a few people? Are you doing it to make some supplemental income? Is that something that you would like to do as well? So all of those things come into play. And I think, you know, it's like if you're doing things strictly for the money, that's people, you know, if you're not enjoying it, like people probably just aren't going to be interested in what you're doing, I would say, you know, but there's a balance. Like I love this. I love doing YouTube. It's fun. I do make some money doing it. It's a nice, you know, side thing that I do, but I love it, you know? And so I'm not necessarily like, if I was just going straight directly for the money, but not enjoying it, then that's not really fun to me. You know, it's like, I'm trying to find this balance of things where it's like, I can still talk about what I want to talk about. And then, you know, but at the same time, I'm of course going to still talk about Star Wars. And yeah, I'm pretty much just kind of seeing how far I can take doing, you know, talking about the things that interest me or the things that come up that I want to talk about. and not tank the channel essentially. So
yeah, no
you know, or not lose subscribers. So it's like, as long as people keep subscribing, it might not be as fast as, you know, some people would be satisfied with, but for me, you know, as long as we keep heading in forward and in upward direction, I'm content.
Yeah. Yes. No. I think we all agree. When December gets here, this second wave. Yes, we have a name, and I don't want it to be confused with the Fandom Menace, because a lot of people don't know what we are or why we call ourselves the Collective, and we will justify that March 1st. We are rolling something out. That's beside the point. But when December gets here, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure all of my brothers and sisters in the second wave would agree, that we are all still behind the Fandom Menace. We are completely, beside, in a sense. And when this happens, and it's horrible, or it's amazing and unexpected, or it's somewhere in the middle, where do you see channels who have already started and established some sort of rapport with the general public and each other? Because, to be honest with you, I tend to see most of the people watching our streams, or in my comment section, being pretty much the same people. And that's great, because look, I have buddies and they're my brothers and sisters and we're all in the same spot, but there's a separate entity out there. And that is something called, at least in the comic world, the normies. And I've heard other names, but when this hits, are we going to be looking at a wave of people who are ready to be either A, frustrated, like we did with The Last Jedi, or are we looking at a wave of people who are just absolutely, elated and just, oh my God, what an amazing movie? And what are you sensing? What are you feeling? Where do you see this going?
Flipp, this is a great question. It I think, if anything, and I'm still going to answer it, but I want to preface it by saying, like, if anything we've learned this year is that, when an Aquaman movie does $1 billion, when Venom comes pretty close to it, what got bad reviews, that Venom movie does nearly $1 billion. It's really tough to say, how everything's going to wind down, but I think we are going to see. It's funny, because after The Force Awakens happened, there was a small percentage of people who did not like the movie, and I was watching a lot of their videos, because a lot of things they were saying I agreed with.
Yeah,
but I felt like that was a very small percentage in comparison to what happened after The Last Jedi. I think, as to what you were saying, I think the response to this will be somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's going to be as bad as The Last Jedi, but I do think there's going to be, some people. I think there's always that group of people that will always like anything with Star Wars on it. Like, because if there were people out there that actually like The Last Jedi, I'm convinced that they will just like anything with Star Wars on it.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna have that group of people, that I think they're gonna be able to win back some fans, but I don't know. It's really tough to predict the future, and it's like Yoda. I think Yoda said, right? But I'm curious now. I'm gonna ask you the question. So tell me about. And we didn't. I just want to let everybody know in the chat, we did not set this up, but I am curious. I'm curious to know, Flipp, tell me, what is the second wave, or is it the third wave?
Second wave, yeah.
Okay, see, that's proof that we didn't set this up. So
no, we absolutely did not, guys. these. It's funny because the third wave's probably behind us. The second wave, they have not satisfied the first wave, the fandom menace, and the second wave was not even brought up by me. A guy named Black Angus Reviews came up with that term. The fandom menace
guys,
phase.
sorry, quick shoehorn in. I'm actually just taking a quick bite, and I'll be back. Just family time. I'll be back in 5.
Yeah, cool. Black Angus Reviews came up with the name Fandom Menace Phase 2, and I say wave, he says phase, but I mean, it's the same thing. It's just like a generational thing. People who are coming onto YouTube, people who are getting interested in being a voice, for people who are worried or scared or anxious and don't know how to jump on YouTube, and they don't believe they can, or they can't get on some sort of a comment section in it, even something as simple as an article, which is kind of convoluted, honestly, getting on the UK Express articles, and it's a little convoluted, and plus they do tend to delete you and such, so they make you feel like you are unwelcome and that you cannot speak, that you don't have a voice. And so of course I guess that the second wave, Black Angus says the third wave is feminism. Okay. That is my boy right there. But no, honestly, it's just us guys like you, right behind you, being inspired by you, and trying to bring the same message that we are just the same and strong and united and standing beside you guys, not trying to steal your thunder, really. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. And I guess the thing overall for us all is that we want it to be good. And in my opinion, I think you're right. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. It's going to kind of land right there in the middle. And we're all going to be, oh, okay, well, it was okay, but it's the end of a saga. It needs to be better than okay. So if it's not better, if it's not better than okay, then I think that's going to make it. I think that is sort of a wild card in that scenario, that if it's not okay, then it's not okay. And they want to go so much further, with this franchise. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's weird, it's like I think really it's like I hope, like, I really do hope that JJ can somehow wrap it up. I hope he can do a good job, especially for the future of Star Wars. Like, I don't necessarily want it to tank and do bad just because, like, I'm so pissed off over what was The Last Jedi. Agreed. But I mean, I feel like that would probably be the worst case scenario. However, I do feel like in a way as well that maybe episode 9 needs to go down, especially if it deserves to, that it needs to go down in flames. Like, Disney needs to really get the message, so we can kind of, there can be a rebuilding process, and they can, they get the message, and then hopefully they start really listening to fans, and hopefully they can, start making things right. So
yeah, like I would love a web page devoted to, or a Twitter or anything devoted specifically to listening to the fans of the George Lucas created saga. I know I'm getting a little weird there, but like just something where I knew that they would hear us, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they do. I mean, I think they are listening to us to some extent. And I guess we're going to find out, though. We're going to really find out how much with episode 9. Maybe, I don't know, maybe JJ is just doing his own thing. He very well might. But I think at this point, it would be wise of him to, if he does have all the creative control, to really sift through YouTube, and get the heartbeat, get the pulse of the fan community, because it's all there. It's not, this isn't happening in a vacuum. Like, it's very apparent, it's very real. And when you have videos like World Class Bullshitters and Mueller, where they're cracking 1 million views on these videos. That's a substantial part of your audience. That's a lot of money, So, and if they feel that way, there are people that aren't even watching YouTube that feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, well, okay, so Mahler has 1 million views on something. Then there's people who aren't even on YouTube that are unaware of the opportunity, say in their 12 to 16, 17-year range, that are more interested in Instagram, but they're still like secretly, oh my God, I'd love to, but they're just so young. They have no idea. They don't know what to say. And that's yeah.
Well, I guess I was. Oh, sorry, Flipp. Go ahead.
Oh man, this timing thing, this delay. Please.
My bad. Man. I think there's a slight delay, and I think it's messing us up a little bit. It might be on my end too. This is why I say I suck with live streams, anyways. So.
Same.
But yeah, I just think in terms of like, if they wanted to get a grasp on the opinion out there, it's all there. And there's just so many people out there talking about Star Wars on YouTube alone. So, yeah.
1 million people on a view, or let's say 2 different videos, 500,000 each, $1 a person. It's only 2 million where they're used to making $500 million movies and reaping the reward of the Americas and China and I'm sorry, China. Didn't they not accept Solo at all? That's a lot of money. So I think you're right. They are getting the message. They really, really are getting the message. They've shut up for the most part. NERD, Sith's report. Oh my God, what a great report! Talk about timing. Yeah. And this guy, he pulled it off. He really pulled it off. And so if he can do that, and look, they were like crying. Is that the way I understand it? They were crying. Oh, thank you. What a nice thing to say. We are so happy. Come on, guys. Like, are you not getting the message? That's the part I'm saying. Like, okay, so the money's talking to Disney, but Lucasfilm, they're still caught up in the emotion. And so that's, I think, for me, like when it really comes down to the bottom dollar, the bottom line is in December when we get there, when we finally get there. And yes, I'm excited. I'm excited about the footage. I want to see something so amazing. I want to see lightsabers and Luke being a badass and Rey going, oh my, I wish I knew that. Oh my gosh, I really missed out, huh? Yeah, a book didn't teach you, we all want to see that. We would like. I really like Yoda. Misplaced. Good words. Bad placement. But anyway, if we can see something that makes us feel something than what we're feeling, anything other than what we're feeling. So the Ghostbusters trailer, which I'm not sure if you saw, we were talking about earlier. It just showed the Ectomobile, and people were like, "Oh, okay." And they made a Twitter statement saying, "Oh, it has nothing to do with 2016 Ghostbusters," because Leslie, what's her name, freaked out. I keep wanting to call her Leslie Nielsen, but that's Airplane and stuff. She freaked out on Twitter, but it was a great trailer. It was just a little teaser saying, "Guess what? We hear you. We hear you." And as much as I'd like it to come out because it would be great for YouTube tomorrow and all that, I really want it to be good more than that. And so in December, I guess we'll see, right? I guess we'll see. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No, you're fine, Flipp. You're fine, man. I think it is one of those things where it's like all the speculation, all the talk, there's been rewrites and everything. So I haven't the faintest clue as to exactly what we're really going to get. You can only trust so many garbage tier news articles after a while. And all these rumors, I take them all with a grain of salt. And I would say half are probably, even more than that. They're not even close. So, but we'll see.
I did a video, and I really kind of felt a little bit bad about it. I just absolutely this it's just a couple of videos back where I said that the leftist agenda is creeping, and no one really pointed me toward that article. It was a slow news day, like it has been for quite a bit here, and I just absolutely I put the guy on the cross. I mean, at least that's how I felt. And I looked at it at the end, and I was like, yeah, it looks cool, it feels cool. But was my message clear? And it was definitely clear. And I want to say, it's not fun to do those. It's not fun. I don't want to be that way. Ethan Van Sciver makes it fun. He makes it funny. And you honestly, you do too. You kind of make it fun and funny, and whether that's by happenstance or just being yourself, it is. And but that's where we are. That's where this group of fandom collective are. We're looking at all the news articles. We're watching Twitter. We have been trained by literally happenstance that we want to see something change. They have such an opportunity, John, to do that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I still think that, well, in general, Star Wars can be a very viable thing for them. The problem is that they put the money first. Like, I really believe that Disney saw this as a business opportunity, and that's fine. I totally get that. Why, if you could buy Lucasfilm, if you could buy Star Wars, why wouldn't you buy it? The problem is that they didn't put somebody at the helm of this thing. I mean, granted, The Force Awakens wasn't bad, but if they had people at the helm who really, loved Star Wars, who had a love for the mythology, it could have been something amazing, But instead, Kathleen Kennedy had an agenda, and that's it. It tanked it. She doesn't love Star Wars. She does not. You can tell her and the story group, they had an agenda, and so if they just go back, to what works, and that is honoring characters, honoring the mythology, honoring the spirit of Star Wars. Things can turn around, and I think they might be able to turn around faster than we even think.
So do you think that Disney has a hope, even for 9?
There is I would say a slight hope.
a slight hope, episode 9.
There you go. Cool. There you go.
What about Pablo Hidalgo? You guys feel as tricked as I do? Do you feel like, for a while there, right before he was put in that position, an honorary position, a position that really, honestly, only a nerd could hold, and then what he became. Do you guys feel tricked?
I mean, I personally don't really, it doesn't, I think he should have put his foot down when it came to certain things, but ultimately it's like his boss is Kathleen Kennedy. And
yes,
he knows, if the boss says, this is how it's going to be, and he knows better than not to cross her, So I kind of feel like, he was in a position of being a yes man. Like, what else is he going to do? I don't know. Like, it's like, yeah, people, Rian Johnson, another yes man. I mean, this was Kathleen Kennedy's thing. The Last Jedi was totally her.
Erin Holdo, could she be more Kathleen Kennedy? Because I know that Kathleen Kennedy and Laura Dern are very good friends, And that's true from Jurassic Park. And also, if you think about it, all the dinosaurs were female, and Kathleen Kennedy was producer of that movie. It started back then.
Well, I'm not sure about the Michael Crichton novel. I don't know if it might have been. I'm not sure if that was the same either. But
I've read a bit of the novels because I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan as well, and I might want to cover some content on that, but I need to do my homework on there because I've lost, my touch on the franchise there. But from what I know from the books, the lysine contingency in the films also applied to the books, but it was a little more, complicated than that. And there were some dinosaurs that were, changing sexes around the island, like this Velociraptor story arc, where they get off the island and they land in, I think, Colombia. And basically, there are these like two lone raptors, and for a few months, the one changes sex, and they basically had a new clutch of eggs and a new roost of and they had like these baby raptors and stuff, and so yeah, it's possible. But I made a joke about it, and through the joke sometimes comes a small little truth. And I know that Kathleen Kennedy is a hardcore feminist, so she may have used science to her advantage, and it can happen. It is possible that the dinosaurs any creature can be predominantly female, because cloning is very greatly based and relied on ovaries instead of sperm. All you need is like an egg and a bit of DNA, and just insert in the ovary and then incubate it in a womb or a test tube, and then you've got yourself a new organism without the contribution of male sperm. So that's what women want. That's what feminists want. They're trying to rule us out in a way.
Yeah, no, there definitely is. There is that group of feminists out there would just be like, you know what, we're better off without Ben. But I hope with Star Wars that like life finds a way, right?
True.
It's like hopefully they can come back.
Well, you see, the thing is, I'm going to tell you one thing. A lot of people say that, hey, for example, feminists want men all gone, and any extremist group seems very ultimate into what they have to say. For example, they're like, okay, fascists want a fascist regime. Racists, for example, or the Ku Klux Klan Club guys, or just wanted what was it called, white power, white supremacy, and all that shit. So basically, they all had this goal. And I don't know how relevant this is what I'm going to say right now, but where I live here in Africa, I don't know if I've mentioned that, I live in West South Africa, which is now known as Namibia. It borders between Angola and South Africa. And I've seen a lot of things about the mentality here. And there's still this slight racism. I mean, it's not as bad as it was in the 90s with apartheid, but there's still this like sense of racism. For example, you won't see black guys and white guys mixed together apart from working together in the workspace. And usually the white guys are in a predominant working position. And not all black people, but the majority work for white people. And white people have this toupee, this air of superiority. Most of them here. And they say that no, we do not want to mix with black girls and stuff. But the same people that proclaim themselves to be purists, and that's where I'm going with here, the same people that played all high and mighty, and me and my powerful, mighty white blood, and I'm not going to mix with a black girl and stuff. They end up cheating on their wives because during during midnight and a little later, they go to the place what they call the location, where all black people sit and reside, and that's where they go and pick up some black chicks. The reason why they do that is because there's a stereotype that, if he's a white guy, he's loaded, and so it's much easier for a white guy to pick up a girl around here. And so what my point is that the same people that say, I want only women, I want only this race, I only want this goal, they're a bunch of hypocrites, because I know a buttload of feminists that come off of all powerful and mighty and say I don't need men, but they're the ones that are more sex starved than a regular female who enjoys regular intercourse in a healthy sexual relationship with a man. And the same thing happens with these racial guys that are like, hey, I only prefer or I only support the white race, the black race, or whatever race. They're the ones that actually are looking for more diversity out there, and they're the biggest racists of all and biggest hypocrites by extension.
That's a really great observation, General Qatar, because I think there is, like, with human nature, like, even as, like, the more you try to be an advocate for something, or the more you try to push it, like if you're like an extremist of anything, I think you ultimately are going to wind up being a hypocrite, you know?
But you go after what you hate, for example, you become what you hate.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like that weird phenomenon where, like, if you're because, like, I think us as human beings, it's like, really, like, by nature we weren't meant to operate like that. Like, we weren't meant to be like extremists in the sense of, like, to have these extreme values or ideas, because I mean, even from a biological aspect, they're not really helpful. Like, think about feminism. Like, it's not helpful for, like, the procreation of the human race if you just say that we don't need men, right? Or vice versa. Or if people say, I shouldn't sleep with another race of people. Like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. You're male, you're female. So it's like, I just think that when you try to, people that take these, like, fringe type of views, they might not even recognize it, but it's still in them. They're going to betray themselves because they're trying to go too far or do something that they can't do, or perhaps internally they don't really believe it. They might try to coax themselves into believing something, but it's just not inherently true. So I don't know, like, that's really, it's funny, but I agree with you. It's like you become, hatred too is just a dangerous thing in general. It's like, if you focus on something long enough and you hate something long enough, I don't know, but people tend to do that. You tend to become what you ultimately hate. Or it's like that idea of, like, judge and be judged. Like, if you're going to make a judgment about something, again, like, it just always seems to be the case that you find out, being judged, because you wind up doing the very things that you say shouldn't be done. So,
well, basically, the backlash, it means, a person that says, I'm not going to do this or I don't support that, is much bigger when they're actually exposed. And every day here, you get to see a lot of people. So that's why when I came to this country, um, they would always tell me, like, keep to yourself, keep your race pure and stuff like that. And I said, dude, I'm not pure. I mean, if you look at me and you take, for example, a guy from Portugal or Mediterranean France or Spain or even friggin' Turkey in Asia Minor, and you take them with the same texture and hair color as me, you won't be able to tell our race apart. So what is this purism going to? I mean, like, I'm not royalty, okay? There have been some, racial and national mixing. It's not the first time, and it's not something new. So who are you to come all high and mighty? And I said that if you do this, there's like this DNA testing where people say they can actually trace their family or ancestral roots, and they can actually see that they come from a completely different race to where they thought that they came from, for example. And some people get shocked. So I say that keep a very, very small basket and don't put all of your eggs in one basket, and be careful about what you say, because you could contradict yourself in the end, and that could be very embarrassing. So when I came here, I didn't care if they were black chicks. Yeah, he flirted with all kinds of girls, and they say, "Why do you like black chicks?" I said, "I like chicks in general. If she's attractive, if she's this, if she's that, yeah, I'll go for it." And once you just announce it, at first they were looking at me like with a half eye, and then this one time at 4 in the morning, I was with a friend, and we were digging around. We were trying to look for the store to buy ice because we were out of ice for this party that we were having. And as we were passing, we saw this very familiar car, this businessman that, is acquainted with my dad. And I said, I know that car. And I saw this, high, mighty white guy. And he said, me, I'm a purist and stuff. And I saw him in his car with two black girls that were seeming to enjoy themselves. And I said, okay. He said he wouldn't get one, but here he is in his car enjoying them two by two. So it's all hypocrisy. I mean, I'm not a racist. I'm not a purist. Okay, I don't subscribe to that. I don't believe in racism. People that say that they're racist, deep down inside, they want the diversity. So it's not a problem to me. I'm Greek, but I'm. You could trace me back to, I don't know, Turkey. I could even have Spanish, or I could even have Latin American genes. It doesn't matter to me. What matters right now is who I am as a person and what I do with my identity now.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, hopefully, like, we can get to a place where, I don't know. I mean, do you guys think we will ever get to a place where people, like, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, you know, we won't be judged by the color of our skin, but the content of our character? Like, do you think we're moving towards that, or do you think we're just forever bound to be?
I think it's a diversion. I think it's like something to distract us. Sorry, Flip. I mean, when now in Greece, there was this very important issue where they were discussing about, Greece's name and Macedonia and all that stuff. And this has been going for 28 years, and they've been debating this for almost 3 decades. And suddenly now they wanted to amend the constitution, and they used, the whole Macedonia thing to ruffle some jimmies and get the people all excited and aggressive so that they could actually pass these new unfair laws. But some people were much more focused, and they saw through this snarky, sneaky movement, I should say. And that's basically what they're doing with race. I mean, like Black Lives Matter, for example. I mean, okay, do their lives matter only? Do white guys, do Asian guys, do red-skinned guys or brown guys not matter? And it's a diversion. I don't believe in it. So what were they trying to cover up? Now, I don't know all of the policies in America, but Black Lives Matter came around, and all the social justice warriors, even in my country, were like, "Oh my God, they do matter and stuff." And I said, "Okay, yeah, he matters. What about me, for example?" And
like Sith and myself, we're Lebanese, and I'm not sure if he's part Italian, but we're both part Lebanese. And what's funny is most of the people around me, when they sunbathe, they get super red, and we get super brown. I've never once been confused with a brown person or a black guy, but in a way, I've looked at the whole movement for what it is, for what it's called. I don't know. As a, you're not disrespecting. It's dismissing of certain colors of shades of brown, and calling them just white, or dismissing certain, shades of darker brown as, well, you're not black. Like, it's just a waste of breath, to be honest with you. The whole thing is just an agenda. What I would like to do, if you don't mind, is I know we've been on here a while, and I just want to ask John, are you okay where we're at, or you got to go? Are you good to go?
I can hang around for a little while longer. Sure.
Awesome.
That's great. And John, I can't. Sorry.
In that case, Katarn, please continue. I just want to see where we're at. Go ahead.
Thing is, what I wanted to say again, like a marker in this conversation that we're having. If you ever feel that you want to stream with us and you have the time, you should know that there's always a spot open for my stream for you. I like these conversations; they're very natural and stuff, and getting these things off your chest, because I think about these every day, and there's not a whole big, audience that you can talk these things about. I mean, I do discuss them with my parents, and they understand, but what? It just basically, the opinions, they keep on circulating around the same circles. So being able to express them outwards is very constructive for me, and it also helps me reshape the way I think. But I do believe that the whole race thing is a whole distraction, and genetically, biologically, I know this for a fact. It's scientifically proven that when you interbreed with other races and mix with the different gene pools, it is only beneficial. Okay, you do get some like defective genes sometimes. Like if you have like an ailment in your family and you pass it on to someone else, it's also going to be passed on. But it is recommended genetically that people do interbreed or intermix. I mean, we're not like a subspecies. I mean, like, I'm not a subspecies to another black person. We're both classified as Homo sapiens biologically. So that's the thing. Now, if you don't have preferences, and that's what SJWs are trying to do. For example, I'm not into Asian women at all. I mean, like some of my friends go crazy for Japanese or Chinese chicks, and I'm not quite feeling it. And if you tell this in SJW, they'll be like, "Oh, you hate Asians." I'm like, no, dude, geez, it's my preference. I mean, I know a girl that says that she doesn't like Mediterranean people, and inside my heart is breaking. And I'm like, how could you not? I mean, like, have you ever seen me shirtless? You know, I'm just joking around, and I keep on stressing that Mediterranean guys are one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen, but she doesn't like them, and it's all a matter of preference, and that is okay. And we cannot express our preference anymore, and we're being boxed into saying things without coming off as stupid, but without trying to not voice our opinion. And that's what's going on today. So race, it's a distraction. It doesn't exist. We can get along with everyone. It doesn't mean that if someone is black, knows less or more than myself. I've met people stereotypically by old society and all of this hate that has been going on. For example, they say, I don't know, like the white guy here is supposed to be the most sophisticated and the most well-educated around here, and I've seen
rich.
Nothing but
you must be the most rich guy.
They do have a certain amount of rich to them, but the only thing that they're rich is in money. But when you take their culture, they're fucking piss poor. They are so dumb, and I actually find myself hitting it off better with black guys because they're more family oriented and they have more values that connect to me as a person. So here we are, two people of different races, but the same culture. Greeks are very family oriented, and I've seen more culture in the black tribes around here than the average white person here. The average white person here would run you over with a truck, and he wouldn't even say, "I'm sorry." He would actually say, "Get out of the way, jackass." But a black person here, he would see you, for example, you could like trip over and fall, and he'll try and get you up. If you scrape your knee, he'll put a bandage over it. If you're hungry, he'll give you something to eat. If you're thirsty, he'll give you something to drink. And this comes from the minority of the black people here who are supposedly so underprivileged and don't have and are poor, and yet still whatever they have they will share with you, wherever you're black or white or whatever. So it's a distraction. I can't stress this enough. Race is a distraction. It is all about culture. The end.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't agree with you more. Sorry, Flipp, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna make a joke. My bad.
Darn it. My bad.
If you're here in America and you get run over, they'll at least say sorry as the ambulance comes to get you. I'll say that.
But that's the thing. I really enjoy these conversations, man. They are so organic. It's cool, and Flipp knows that not every panel is compatible, and that's not to take a snap at any other of the streams that I've had, but sometimes you just get along with some other people better.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that too. I mean, sometimes you gel with people better. It's kind of like that preference thing too. Yeah. Where it's like, there's just certain things that are, you shouldn't have to apologize for. Like going back to that, it's just like there's nothing wrong with, some people are more inclined to, some guys are more inclined to Asian women, some aren't, and it's not necessarily a snap at whoever. It's just, I think we all have certain preferences, or certain degrees of wanting or liking things more than others, but I think as far as race goes too, it is a distraction. And like, I think it would be cool too if I don't know about you guys, but like different forms that you fill out and they make you like list your race. Like, or, it's like they'll have like black, Caucasian, it's kind of like, what's the point of this though? Like, why is this necessary? Why do we have to identify ourselves by the color of our skin or something of that nature? Like, why is, like, I feel like if we're going to get rid of all this division on race, it's a tricky balance, but I really think like the less we acknowledge it, can we just move on from it, or but however, I do believe like you can't forget things that have happened either.
It's true. It's true. I mean, like, I know that, for example, the white man a long time ago in the United States, they did enslave black people to do their bidding, but that was a long time ago. I mean, my country, Greece, wasn't liberated. We were liberated from the Turks, the Ottoman Empire in 29, which wasn't even 200 years ago. It's almost 200 years ago, so it's still pretty fresh in the history of the world. So what am I supposed to do? Hold a grudge against the old Turks because, my ancestors were enslaved to theirs?
Right.
Yeah.
There's kind of that there's that like biblical principle of like the sons of the father shouldn't be held against the son.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of like that. It's like everybody should be just kind of like taken at face value for who they are, not necessarily who their parents were or where they came from, because it's they're their own person. So I just think it's a good way to approach things, but I understand culturally too. In the big picture of things, it's a tricky thing, and and unfortunately I agree with you, General Katarn. Like, race is used to divide. It's used to divide and to cause more strife than anything, unfortunately. And there's such a wealth of culture and different things that we could pick up from each other, rather than make it a point of division. So, all right, that's all I got to say about that. In the words of Forrest Gump.
That's all I got to say about that.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna back it up just a little bit, because that was intense. But you know what? I loved that conversation, and if anything I can say about it, wow, what a meaty piece of stream to listen to for anyone who does check the replay or who is here. And thank you for being here. You specifically, John. I mean that, man. Thank you.
Oh, you bet, Flipp. Hey, my pleasure. General Katarn, thank you, man, for so much for having me on. It's been a blast.
It's been an honor on our side, and I'll try, to get in touch with you on Twitter, and whenever you have the time and want to respond and get on another stream, by all means, we'll be here ready to set it up and have you on the panel again.
Awesome, brother. Yep. Thank you.
And John, please do not feel any pressure about what we've been speaking of in the DMs, but man, I got to tell you, I am so psyched. And if that works out, please let me know. I am really on board. And also, thank you for inspiring me. Huh?
Oh, we're going to do it. It's not a matter of if, but it's just a matter of when. So it will happen, Flipp. So
cool. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
We'll make it work.
Well, that being said, and much appreciated, bro. Seriously. But your interesting and new tutorials about being extraordinary and you're accomplishing goal stuff. Really cool angle. Really, to me, a very cool angle. And look, I've been an avid watcher. I will continue. And again, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Flipp, for setting this up. As General Katarn said, this doesn't happen without you too. So I just appreciate your invite as well. And yeah, man, just the support. It really means a lot to me. So I look forward to doing a lot of, some cool stuff in the future, doing some collabs with you, and we're going to make it happen.
Awesome. That actually excites me. It makes me look forward to a lot of things.
Awesome.
So that's what we all have to. That's all we have. That's all the time we have right now. To modern television. So before Black Angus Reviews floods my comment section, and I really don't want that. I think that we should get off because he hates Mediterranean people. So yeah. Yeah.
What's up, Black Angus?
Oh man. Next time we should also actually have Black Angus on the panel, because this guy, I try to talk to him, but then I get myself a couple of malt beers, and I can cope. I try.
Right.
Black Angus is. Did you guys see his Germanus video? Saint Germanus. I know, Flipp, you had a hand in that, didn't you?
Well, very small. He asked me if he should put it out, and I said you'd be crazy not to. So yes, do it. But he wasn't going to do it. So I guess a little.
You actually told him do it.
Yeah.
I thought that video was hilarious.
It was gold, man. It really was.
Yeah.
Check out the new one he released today, John. I'm in that one too.
Well, he's got me. And I'll reveal this. I might as well just say it, but we're talking about, and I don't think it's really going to get out there, so I don't have to worry about it. But he wants me to play Mike Zero in his third installment.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I don't know. I might. I'm gonna have to get a dartboard and kind of make my Mike Zero poster. And listen to his videos, listen to his intros or outros about 50 times to get down.
You are the coolest.
You have to check 10 videos and that's it. You've got Mike Zero. Hey everybody, if you're new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. How it goes.
That's pretty. Yeah, it's
content.
Future Star Wars content.
Oh yes. Man. It's classic. It's just classic. So I don't think I gave my official yes, but I'm probably leaning towards yes. I'll do it. So we'll see. But I'll definitely check it out, Flipp.
Yes, definitely do. Definitely do. Thank you.
Thanks. Panel adjourned, and I guess we will see you next week. And I want to say thank you to everyone for watching, and thank you for my esteemed guests and my co-host. And we'll be seeing you guys in the next Podrace After Party. I just have to settle a few things with Watto because I owe a lot of money, and if I don't pay him back, I don't think I will be able to host another stream. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.